Oh my God, the mics are set up this time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thoughts on the Bench. Greg, the mics are on.
Huzzah! We are already on a good pace already compared to
I don't
last time.
I don't know what I changed to get it set up now because it wasn't set up before, which was very annoying. But every time I would transition to that, it wouldn't work, and it was really aggravating.
Well, hear me out though. When Josh is running late and you're the one that has to set up like the board and stuff, like you do get kind of flustered and frustrated with how he has stuff set up because it's not what you're used to.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm
We
pretty
don't
sure
we
the
don't
last
have the
time this.
same. Mine's on my computer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
sorry.
So to give you context, because you technically don't. I guess you've never seen a show done remote because you've always done it in studio.
Right.
We both have OBS downloaded. We both
Okay.
have our the graphics, but we don't have the same graphics in the same show. There was
Okay.
something weird about OBS when it first started that you couldn't share full shows with one another, and so we had to set up. And so I just have an emergency setup on my computer with our screens. And so when I do like Jeopardy and we do questions and stuff, I made all those from scratch. So we don't
Okay.
have like I don't pick up where Josh lets go. He has like what we do to run the show graphics, and I have like, oh, Josh can't be there. This is the main screen we have.
Okay. I thought you guys like kind of coordinated like the same setup between the two of you or something. So
No.
when or
Good
like
thought,
shared
though.
it or something. Yeah, because I honestly would have thought that like because I distinctly remember the last time that he was running late and you had to set up, you were I don't know, you got annoyed by him like not having something the way that you prefer it, I think. But I could be wrong. It's that
Like when I like
thinking of
last
something
time,
else.
like last time it happened.
Maybe, yeah.
No, it was. I think I was annoyed that I didn't do it. There's nothing that Josh could do to help me other than send me graphics, and I'd still have to do more work to get them set up. So
Fair. That's annoying. Doing more work is annoying anyway when you think about it in
yeah,
hindsight.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah, Greg. I mean, it's we're waiting for Josh. If we still, here's what I'd say: if we still
Yeah.
had viewers, like yeah, we have people pop in. I love
Right, right,
that.
right. Yeah, yeah.
If we
Yeah,
still
yeah.
had a full consistent thing of viewers, I would absolutely do what we were discussing doing and pull the prank.
Yeah. I mean, I have an OKC shirt that I wore specifically for Josh today, so I feel heartbroken that he's running late. Just saying, but
What is the shirt you have on?
it's just the remember the thing that he mentioned about the clothing brand. I think it's called like
Oh
Opolis.
yeah.
Opolis. Opolis. Yeah, this is a shirt from the brand. It's just a giant Oklahoma. It's just the giant basketball that holds an Oklahoma City flag. So it's kind of like It's like how like all of my Shop Steel City stuff is technically Pittsburgh based, but it's
Yeah,
like not the actual team brand stuff. That's kind of like the idea here.
nice. Sorry, I'm
hmm
sharing out the show link to my Instagram in an attempt to gain viewers.
I would
Um,
argue. I
yep.
think you should tag it by saying you went religious with the hat that you're rocking, even though it's
I mean, I go to
definitely not
church now.
that.
We've talked about that.
I completely forgot. I forget about that too. You are a big church guy.
What the
You're down
fuck?
with the God, you know?
I had it. Where'd it go? Um. All right, we are good there now. You need to start promoting the show on your Instagram. You have an Instagram now.
I understand that, yes, but also technically I'm doing this by on my phone at the moment, so I can't do like the promoting
But
and
you know that's
viewing
not
at
like an
once.
excuse because
I know it's
you
not an
could do it
excuse.
before.
I know I'm terrible and
I
lazy.
didn't
That's
say any
that's
of
that's
that.
a yeah, but it's definitely a trait of mine that I take full responsibility for. So I completely understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's start the show.
do it.
3, 2, 1, action. Uh, I want to start the show, Greg, with the Rumble. I'm gonna pull up some stuff so I can talk about it. Here's the one thing I'll say. I know only
Okay.
one thing that happened.
Okay.
So
What was that one thing?
I don't know who won. I don't know anything. All I know is that I saw Pat get called in and go up, get in, and then disqualify himself and get right back out.
You know what the some behind the scenes stuff that I found out about, like kind of on the dirt sheet. So like I'm not gonna delve into like the big story that broke last week because that's not up for the
Oh
realm.
yeah, yeah.
But that spot in the Rumble that he was in with Omos on the one side and that was Braun Breaker on the other side
Shout out Omos.
who yeah who Josh likes to fondly call Kurt Goldberg because he looks like a hybrid of
That's
Goldberg
funny.
and Kurt Angle almost. But what's funny is that was actually supposed to be Brock Lesnar in the original plan.
Shut
So
up.
like so imagine if like what happened last week didn't happen and Pat McAfee was going to enter the ring with Omos and Brock Lesnar staring him down.
Yeah, so I guess, which is amazing and hilarious. Here's
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna fire off some questions to you.
I am the wrestling expert here at Thoughts on the Bench.
Yeah.
That is a known and tried and true
But
fact.
it's you or I because I won the draft last week. So one of us.
I'm the champion though, and I have the
Yeah, but
title
I
to
wasn't
prove
in
it,
that.
So that is true. You weren't. I don't know why you weren't in it because you probably could have held your own very well.
Well, hey,
so.
it'd probably still be going if I was in it.
Don't get me started. All right.
Okay, first question. Do we feel as if the bit stole a real chance from maybe a young wrestler? And is that something to even think about here? Because I don't love the thought of thinking that way, but it is something that came across my mind.
No, because here's the thing: the Royal Rumble is always one of those great mixed bags of stuff. There's definitely young guys that get the opportunity. There's legends that make appearances, and there's fun surprises. That's what gets people excited about the Rumble is like anyone can make the appearance and anything can happen. And it's not the first time that an announcer has gotten into the Rumble like that. So I would argue that there was no harm in it, especially because the way that it worked out now, you had Ron Breaker, who's kind of a younger guy anyway, kind of get the rub almost by like sharing that moment and kind of like experiencing that with McAfee, kind of like being scared and all that. So I'm all for it. And in the end as well, like I think people who would complain about it are probably thinking too hard about it in the end. Because I mean, McAfee being at the Rumble kind of elevates the event anyway to like the casual person. So
Yeah.
I'm all for it. And it's a viral moment that people are now going to look into and probably potentially delve more into it. So I get what you're saying because I think that's a criticism of like people who've earned the spot that would probably get in. But I think as a whole, I don't think it's any harm.
Yeah, I guess my first thought when I had that thought, my thought after that thought was that Santina, Santino Morel, whatever his name was, when he like came in and then instantly got flipped out, like Pat was as worthy as that situation. So I was like, Pat is also very worthy of being the guy that got to do that. And two, they probably, I mean, tell me how the Rumble works in terms of the wrestlers. So we know that they know their number. I'm sure all wrestlers know everyone's number. Is it and I'm sure they know the winner. Is it basically like, hey, go in there and you are gonna just kind of like pick a fight and it's a lot of loose wrestling? Because my assumption is they can't mirror out the entire thing.
No, there's they definitely have like certain spots planned. For instance, like that, like Omos and Breaker with McAfee, that was a clear spot that was planned.
Yes.
Or like in the women's rumble, there was a spot where a wrestler was hanging to the side of the ring with her feet like on the apron to not touch. Like that was a clear spot.
Wasn't it Kofi that jumped out onto the wall one time and like stuff like that?
That was a planned spot. Yeah. Yes. So in terms of the Rumble, like essentially, yes, like any battle royal, like you're literally just gonna pair up with someone, just like pretend, like throw fists and like try to struggle with getting him out of the ring until a certain time in the match you are deemed like it is time to go out. Or there's like certain spots that have been pre-planned already based on the number that's drawn and who's in the ring. Yeah. So there's the big stuff is pre-planned, but for the most part, like if you watch it without taking like the big stuff in context, like the Rumble is actually a very boring match when you think about it.
Yes. Yeah. So I think the things that are, so that was where, okay, that's where I was going to go next, which is a little different than what you said, but how much do wrestling fans, if you're going to call it, there's the Rumble, There's WrestleMania, SummerSlam. Where is the Rumble on the scale of like events that you have to watch every year for WWE fans?
Oh, it's number 2. It's number
Oh,
2
okay.
easily.
Interesting.
Because here's the thing. Like the Rumble is the kickoff for Mania. So like it's the very beginning of the 3-month story that they're gonna build towards Mania. It sets
Yeah,
up.
because the
It
Rumble
sets up
person
all the
gets to go in
yeah.
whenever they want, right? The Rumble
Well,
winner.
they get a championship match at WrestleMania. That's kind of the
Huh.
the gist.
Oh,
But
I'm thinking
like,
of Money in the Bank.
but even well, they get a championship match anytime they want in the span of a year. So like they can hold it whenever they want to. But like Rumble is Mania, and Mania is the biggest event of the year. But the logic is like you get a winner, you get a guaranteed match, but then there's also like kind of Easter eggs for stories that can be built over the next 3 months to kind of like get you to Mania, and you get to figure out what the company is thinking and what kind of different things they're going to have planned out to get to the end result of Mania almost. And the thing about the Rumble is that there's that added element that like makes it unique, is that while a battle royal in general is boring to a degree, the countdown and the anticipation is what gets you. It's what hooks you, because it's drama. It's the not knowing what's happening next. It's the true genuine surprise that gets you excited and it gets you hooked. And there's not another thing in wrestling that gets you like that. So that's why it's like up there for a lot of wrestling fans in general.
Okay. Got it. Okay, next question to get down to it then. The first, and I'm looking at a list of guys now, the first 7 guys, not counting... Okay, wait, this is interesting. So I'm looking at, is it draw or order? What would be the one I want to look at? Because I have order, and it says Grayson Waller. Was he first?
He was first eliminated, I think.
Okay, so then this is eliminated order. So maybe draw. Was Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso first?
They were first 2, yes.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
Which I will say, shout out to Dre, because he called it hours beforehand. That's what he wanted to happen.
Yeah,
why? Both of them to draw 1 and 2.
Why they're beefing? Walk me through that one.
Yes, they're beefing. Yeah.
Why?
So, because in storyline, like they are, how Roman Reigns is kind of like the tribal chief.
Yeah.
He's the head of the table. He's all those things. Like he's been the champion on SmackDown for years, and Jay and Jimmy were his right hand men at the
little
time.
cronies,
tag champs, and all that. Yeah. So there was a story the past year that involved Sami Zayn, where Zayn was a part of the bloodline. He got fed up with how Roman treated his family, and therefore like left the bloodline. He tried to get Jay to leave too, because he could tell Jay hated it as well. Jay stuck with his brother. They lost the titles to him and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, and then that caused more friction in the bloodline. And it got to the point where Jey Uso turned on his family. He got Jimmy to turn as well, and it led to a match at SummerSlam with Jay versus Roman. And then Jimmy decided to return back to Roman, and him and Jay eventually split.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Other questions. I'm confused why the last guy almost doesn't always win. And now I know it's scripted and all that stuff, but it's like you're the last guy. Like you should have the most energy here. But what does unaffiliated mean? So I have, it's their brand or their status. Andrade, Omos, and Pat McAfee are all listed here as unaffiliated.
Okay, so Andrade made his return to WWE at the Rumble. So he does not have like any brand designation yet. He was assigned to Monday Night Raw for this past Monday, so that's why he's unaffiliated. Omos is considered a special attraction, so he doesn't actually, you don't see him on TV a lot during the year.
That's a crazy way to word somebody's career.
I know, yeah, so he doesn't have so he's not assigned to Raw or SmackDown. He's just kind of like whatever he wants. And McAfee, of course. McAfee actually is now the official color commentator for Monday Night Raw moving forward. So I believe he's now going to be a Raw guy.
He lasted a whole 38 seconds, which is more seconds than JD McDonough. He lasted 3 seconds. What happened there?
Uh, if I remember correctly, what happened was he didn't enter the match right away, got knocked out on the outside by something. R-Truth came down, brought
Wait,
him into the match, and then he got immediately eliminated.
was
So
this the
that's what
part
happened.
where R-Truth? No, okay. So I want to talk about that now. R-Truth. I did see this.
You saw
So
this? What a delight!
here's
What a
here's
delight!
let's start before we tell the story. I just want to know
Okay.
flat out has he always been this funny because there's some
Oh
clips.
yeah.
Okay, good,
Oh
good, good.
yeah.
I
Oh
remember
yeah.
him
Oh yeah.
way back in the day as good, and then I remember a couple clips of him apologizing where he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm
Oh
that's all
dude,
right."
he's so great. There was a spot. I don't know if it was last year's Rumble or the
Yeah.
year before, but he entered the match, immediately went under the ring to get a ladder out, brought the ladder into the ring, put it in the middle of the ring, started climbing it. There was nothing hanging above it, and he looks up, and you can hear him mouth the words, "Where's the briefcase?" He thought it was the Money in the
See,
Bank
that's
ladder
funny.
match. But that I didn't think you could top that. But this this
So
past this past Saturday topped it
for anyone
easily.
anyone listening, it was the women's
Mm-hmm.
Rumble, and a woman who was wearing some kind of, I want to say, Native American garb or some.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
was
yeah. Viking
Viking
guard.
garb.
Yeah.
Thank you. Viking garb was coming down very slowly, and it was very methodical. And then out comes R-Truth sprinting down, and he jumps. He gets in the ring, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Where are the dudes?" Dude, I laughed. I saw that clip. I laughed so hard, man.
Oh, it was excellent, excellent. And then he's on the outside talking to the GM, and the GM is explaining, "This is the women's
Yeah.
Rumble match. You're in the men's match."
God, it was so.
Oh, it's so goddamn funny.
So,
No, he's. Oh my God,
excuse
he
me.
actually, if I remember correctly, last year, I think back in like March or April, he actually tore his quad, so he was out for a good bit of
Oh,
time,
get out.
and then he came back around. He actually came back this past November, December, and he's just been consistently on TV ever since. Like
Yeah.
he is so goddamn funny on TV. It's great.
Here's kind of I have two more questions really. One, why
Go
weren't
ahead.
there that many SmackDown guys in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 30 people were SmackDown?
Yeah, I guess so. I think also with regards to that is that SmackDown's also the show that has only like two. It only has 2 hours worth of content, so like there's very few guys. But also because one of the matches was Reigns defending the title against three other SmackDown guys, so that probably
Fair.
took a lot of them out of the Rumble
So
to
that's,
begin
yeah,
with.
just to be clear, that is Roman Reigns. And
Hmm.
not in that match, just guys that I can name that I know on it. So Roman Reigns,
Yeah, yeah.
Seth Rollins, Logan Paul. Who did Logan Paul wrestle?
Logan Paul wrestled Kevin Owens for the U.S. title, so that was their own match. And Seth Rollins didn't compete in the Rumble because he's a champ. So.
Yep. Finn Balor. I know that name.
Mhm.
And AJ Styles. He's still wrestling. Jesus.
Yeah, he was in the Fatal 4-Way match. Yeah.
Okay. What about? And I'm just gonna name guys again that I know, which we're getting pretty far down the list. Oh, Baron Corbin.
He's in NXT right now.
That's weird, right?
Yeah, he decided he wanted to go down and kind of work with some younger talent to
Good for
kind of
him.
like get the juices flowing again. Yeah.
Uh,
He's actually funny enough, he's actually in a tag team with Braun Breaker.
okay. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I just don't want him to be sent down in a bad way, but I like that.
No, no, no. They have really good chemistry. They on a interview I saw, Braun named their team the Wolf Dogs. And it's such a dumb name, but it's so funny though. So
What about I don't know. Oh, what about Dom?
Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in the Royal Rumble too.
Was he? Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but he's Raw. He's on the SmackDown website. Am I crazy?
No, he's been on Raw for the past year, I would say. He's a part of the Judgment Day
Oh, this is
stable with Finn.
all currents. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's weird
Yeah, yeah.
out. Okay. Last question.
Actually, and
Yeah,
a
go
running joke on Raw is that when R-Truth is that R-Truth thinks that there's actually two Mysterios, Tom and Nick. So so in the ring when he's like talking to them, he's asking where's Tom and Nick. All he sees is this guy.
Oh my gosh.
It's some of the dumbest shit, but it's so fucking funny. And I think there's a shirt for it actually.
That's funny though.
Mm-hmm.
What about LA Knight? Was he in that Fatal 4-Way?
He was in the Fatal 4-Way, yeah.
He's sick. I like him. Okay, let's talk about the final here. So we had CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, right?
Yes, that was the final two for the men.
And who was everyone rooting for?
It was very split. I texted a lot of different people I knew who were fans, and I said before the Rumble that I picked Bayley and I picked Punk to win, and I got one of the two right, but I was very I don't want to say I was surprised. I think it worked out well.
Yeah.
But like I didn't think they were gonna do Rhodes winning 2 years in a row because I thought that would have been overkill. But I also understand why they didn't have Punk win because him doing it like 2 months after he debuted probably wouldn't be a good look. So I guess it made sense in long term storytelling to say the least. But in the grand scheme of things, it worked out very well because in the Rumble match, Punk tore his triceps.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he is out for 4 to 6 months and is going to miss WrestleMania this year.
So it worked out.
It worked out very well, yes.
How was the match with the two of them?
It was very dramatic. When it came down to the final, when it came down to those two, I honestly had no idea who was going to win.
Really?
That was kind of the thing that like really got me this year is the fact that for the men's Rumble, which is the highlight, I had no clue who would win.
Yeah.
I had a feeling last year it was going to be Rhodes. It was very obvious. But this year, I truly had no clue. Because because even if you didn't pick those two, there were at least 4, maybe 5 other people you probably could have made an argument for or could have like give a reason for. So the fact that they went down this road and had them that way was perfect because watching that final sequence, I had no idea who was going to win.
Nice.
And the drama got me, which is exactly what I want as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, and that's all you can really ask for.
Mm-hmm.
Was give me the general consensus. Were people happy with how it went? I mean, what was the vibe in the room you were in? What's the vibe from wrestling fans you've talked to? Was Josh super upset?
Josh was very upset. Josh was very, very upset.
Just because of CM Punk or because
just because it was Punk.
Okay.
Just because it was Punk. I'm in a group chat with him and our good friend Ryan Thompson. Shout out to him. He was very downtrodden to say the least when Punk didn't win. He sent us the picture of him 10 years ago with his Punk stuff, like excited to go see him in Cleveland, and he didn't perform. And it was like it seemed like an emotional roller coaster for him, and he was a little bummed out. But and then when I had to break the news to him about him tearing his triceps, he was none too pleased to say the least. So I think he's on the mend a little bit right now, but he was not in a good mood. But from the people I've spoken to, I think the consensus, a lot of us wanted Punk to win because because like most of my wrestling friends are kind of like, the guys that they follow the indies, they follow the hardcore stuff. So like we're all Punk fans, but like I would say the way that it went down was very well done, and it at least got you excited for Mania because you know where they're heading. Because after Rhodes won, he pointed to Roman, who was sitting in the skybox, and you could tell, okay, there's going to be 8 weeks of storytelling they're going to do to get us where we need to be, and we're going to figure out what else is going to fall into place there.
I think, Greg, the craziest thing for me, so really the part of this all for me, I know the WWE is, they're continuously great storytellers, they have amazing, talented people who care. I'm still like, I find it very hard to believe Cody Rhodes is in the WWE. Like, AEW did really well with him, and is this genuinely just the WWE saying we have more money than you? Because you can't convince me that it's just about creative freedom.
It was well, it wasn't even that. Like, because he had creative freedom in AEW. He had
Well,
more
that's what I'm
creative freedom in
saying
AEW.
is like the whole point of AEW was creative freedom. That's why
Right.
Jabroni boy from the Shield went over, right? Is because he could do what he wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do.
And he's loves it over there. He's
Yeah.
said tremendously like he's never leaving. But with Rhodes, it was interesting because wow, I saw a thing online. It was like the 2 year anniversary. Is it 2 year? Yeah, it was the 2 year anniversary. Actually, 3 years. Sorry, it was the 3 year anniversary of his last match in AEW. It was a ladder match against Sammy Guevara, which was a great match. But it was crazy how fast time flew.
Huh.
But with that, the everything that I've heard, and he even like mentioned this in the documentary that WWE produced. He went on record saying like, I will never explain the reason why I left AEW. It was a personal matter. That is not something that we're going to discuss. All I will say is that I enjoyed my time there. I have nothing but respect for Tony Khan. I loved working for him. I loved working with a lot of the people that I had, but it was a personal matter that required me to leave. But
I
here's the thing too. But
yeah,
here's the
go
thing
for
that
it.
even blows my mind even more about this, Deke, is that in the in the now 2 years that he's been in WWE, it's amazing how much bigger of a star he is in WWE than he was in AEW, which is crazy. And the thing that even blows my mind even more is you remember him in WWE when he was
Yeah, he was
Stardust. Like,
RKO's. What? Wait, I don't remember him as Stardust. I'll be honest. I remember him as the little crony for RKO.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, like Randy's crony. Yeah, you remember
Him and
him from then.
Ted,
But like,
Ted
but what's
DiBiase.
fascinating is like he developed that American Nightmare like character
Yeah.
and like the music and stuff. Like that was all a post WWE like development that he went through to get to that. It's crazy to me that they basically were like, don't change anything. Just bring what you have and we will make it work. And he brought it and he has just been everything. It's amazing. Everything I read is that he's the top merch mover. He's like the most requested superstar for meet and greets.
Yeah.
Like they constantly sell out autograph
But
sessions. Like
do
he
you
does
think
all
that's
this make a wish
because
stuff. Like
of
it's
AEW, what he did? Because I'll tell you,
yes,
Greg, he didn't do shit before going to, not, I don't do shit. For the non-casual fan of Derek, who is like, I know the names, I know who's good, I know who's bad, like I'm aware of who the popular people are. He really wasn't shit until he went to AEW, because even when he had his big stake in AEW, you guys had to convince me that he was good enough for it, because to me, he was some dude's kid that had a brother that wears makeup. Like,
right. No, I it's crazy to me that like how well he just kind of developed like outside of WWE is true because there's a lot of guys who do well that need to get away from the machine in order to kind of rediscover themselves or find a new character
yeah.
or advance themselves and kind of learn a little bit to be able to kind of come back better. Like Drew McIntyre is a great example of that. But like with Cody, it's crazy to me that like but what blows my mind is like I can't wrap my head around how strong he has just like gravitated towards it because like most characters or most wrestlers like when they get brought back like it's a big deal, it's exciting and stuff, but there's usually like a big kind of time where like
Yeah.
the audience gets a little bored with you or it gets like it's like all
Yes.
right, this is the same thing we've dealt with over and over again, but like something about Cody has like really gravitated towards that particular audience, that mainstream audience, because AEW, while it does exist, it still is kind of a niche audience that follows it. Cody has kind of like this appeal that has, while it has like it's endeavored to the actual like hardcore base and like the true like
Yeah.
diehard wrestling fans, it's carried over extremely well towards mainstream audiences, which is what they are still kind of prioritizing. So it's kind of worked out way better than you would have expected from that.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think what confuses me, I guess, about wrestling
Mm-hmm.
fans is for me, it made all the sense in the world to love Finn Balor and the Bullet Club.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really did. Like Finn, the entry, I would say I mean the Beast or what did the Demon?
The Demon, yeah.
I would say the Demon goes toe to toe with any persona I've ever seen in WWE.
Right.
And I think people, I don't think that's a crazy take, but I'm definitely not a fit. You know what I mean? I'm a very, very casual. But to
Yeah,
me, that
yeah.
made sense. And I was like, oh, I don't know this guy, but I love him. Cody, what amazes me about him is that I do know about him.
Hmm.
It's so tough. And you tell me if I'm wrong. It is so tough for WWE guys to change who they are and be loved more. And what I mean by that is like, I think Sami Zayn, when he first came out, was awesome. I think Sami Zayn since that sucked. I
Yeah.
think I'm trying to think of other guys like in that class. Like it's tough to go from a nobody to go straight to somebody and everybody loves you. And it's not like a thing. I always thought Cody Rhodes was always just going to be a middle of the pack guy that gets beat up and wrestles. I mean, I guess The Miz maybe is a good comp there because he was kind of a pile of garbage and then turned into the champion for a while. Maybe that's
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
comp.
No, it is. It's about there's a thing that with regards to wrestling is like it's all about kind of progressing and kind of finding yourself and finding a character that just kind of works. It's a natural evolution almost because I mean, like think about Kofi Kingston, came out as a Jamaican
Yeah.
wrestler,
Where'd your Jamaican accent go?
slowly dropped the accent, embraced his like African roots a little bit, then formed the New Day, which was like this gospel preach type thing that no one enjoyed. They started getting goofier and sillier and embraced all this like pop culture stuff, and everyone loved them.
Yep.
So it's kind of like it's finding what works. But the thing about wrestling fans too is that they know when someone is having fun and someone is enjoying what they do. So we naturally tend to embrace them because of the fact that we appreciate the ability for them to have fun. Whether you are good, whether you're a baby face or a heel, it's like if we know and we can tell that you enjoy that you're enjoying yourself and having fun, we're naturally going to like appreciate it
Yeah.
more, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the other side with Cody is I don't often see guys that have his lineage not work
Mm-hmm.
out and then work out. Is that fair to say? Where like, and lineage is a weird thing, but I think most people like the lineage is there and they get shoved to the top. Like the fact that he kind of was a slow start and then left, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to think of any comps that fit there, but like to be the son of one of, I would say, was he one of the Four Horsemen? Who was Dusty Rhodes? The fuck,
Dusty Rhodes,
the fuck did he do?
Dusty Rhodes, he wasn't one of the Four Horsemen, but he was the Four Horsemen's greatest rival.
God, okay,
Is the
okay. I
best
knew he was a
is the
part of it.
best way I can explain. Yeah, he was best. The great. It was Ric Flair's greatest rival was Dusty
Yeah,
Rhodes.
and
Yeah,
it's like I don't know. There's a lot of lineage in it, excuse
yeah.
me. And so I
Hmm.
find it interesting that a guy could go from like this is my dad, I'm okay, to like no, I'm doing really well. What?
Well, also too,
Yes.
it's the ability of like you're easily cast into that shadow right away because everyone that came before you like knew your dad, knew your lineage. So it kind of takes time to be able to show that you are more than that or kind of get away from it. It's like think of Charlotte. Like Charlotte when she came up was known as Ric Flair's daughter. And now
Yes.
she is way more than Ric Flair's daughter. And it's not even up for debate on that anymore. So it's it's yes, and there's a lot of wrestlers or a lot of like kids of famous like wrestlers that have tried to break into the business and never went anywhere, whether or not they didn't have the passion
Yeah.
or they just
Who
couldn't
else?
bear or they just couldn't bear with the notion of like being constantly compared to their dad or their mom or whatever. So it's I guess it's trying to figure out, I guess, taking what you know and what you were born with, but
Yeah.
trying to find your own voice and trying to make it be your own. It's
Yeah.
the balancing act as well. So
Last wrestling question.
okay.
Where's MJF?
Mm. So by the way, like I sent you that article before his match with Samoa Joe, which I thought was very well done. That was like completely written from him and like from the Players Tribune that he wrote himself. It was very good. He legit had a lot of injuries going into that match, like a lot. I think it was he had a bad hip. He had a torn rotator cuff. I think he had something else as well that he was dealing with. So like, and you could tell in that match like he just wasn't moving as well as he used to. So after he lost the match to Joe, he's taking time off to kind of heal right now. So that's why you don't see him on TV anymore. And I believe, and what sucks is like they were doing long-term storytelling with him for a while of the bidding war of 2024. Like he was doing that reference like in 2021, which was kind of
Wait,
cool that he was doing that, and we were
what is
finally gonna get the
that?
payoff. The bidding war of 2024.
So he
That
was
was
saying
like,
that people are going to have a bidding war for him.
yeah, that was his. That he was doing that like he was doing that years ago of the bidding war of 2024. Like it's very upsetting that like we didn't get the payoff because he's hurt, but I don't believe he's going to be in WWE. I truly think AEW gave him a big contract, so he'll probably be back in.
But you think AEW?
Yeah, I think AEW re-signed him.
Oh.
I truly do.
Raiders are hiring Cliff Kingsbury as their OC.
Ooh, him and Antonio Pierce together is going to be a fun dynamic. I think
Yeah,
they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback.
Sorry, I had a client, kind of not an issue today by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of my favorite clients. We had sent him a bill and he didn't know it, and then I texted him. I was like, "Hey man, like, yes, and like let's chat." And then he texted me. He's like, "Yeah, whatever." He's like, "I also want to start a podcast. Let's do this." And I was like, "God." So I just texted our sales guy. Yeah, it was a good day. It's a good day.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. But
so,
I was gonna say before we did the show, I was gonna tell you like I saw your IG post on your shoe today and it looked really good.
yeah,
So,
shout out to their Swiss cookware company called Kuhn Rikon. They are Swiss made. They have the seal of approval. They are sick. I had my two very good friends, Paul and Bryn, come be a part of the shoot.
I was gonna say I recognized the mustache, so I had a feeling I was gonna ask if Paul was doing it. So yeah,
Paul had arguably the greatest cheese pour of all time. So there's this thing called raclettes that are little metal, just like metal sheets, and you put it on top, and there's 3 just candles underneath, just good old candles, and you light the little candles, and it heats up, and then you put cheese slices on it from this place in town, and he did one of the pours over top of a bread, and it just it was like a lava cake. It was sick. Yeah, shout out to them. It was really cool. Good day. So a lot of good stuff going on mine, which is good. Last wrestling question for you. What is the biggest storyline in wrestling right now, do you think?
I don't want to. I can't say it.
Why?
I can't say it because you know what it is. It was the thing that's kind of.
Let's talk about it. So Vince McMahon has stepped down from all his roles due to a sex trafficking, but also making a woman. Yeah. The claim was that he made a woman make explicit content to send to Brock Lesnar to try to retain him on the roster. It sounds like that all is pretty much either A, proven true by the action of Brock not being there and Vince stepping down from every role in TKO, right?
Yes, every role. Like if you go on TKO's website, like he is completely scrubbed.
So my question for you, Greg, is knowing who the McMahons are, knowing who Vince is, I don't want to do anything more than just talk about the story. I don't want to get into. I'm not going to make a joke. I'm not going to do anything stupid. My real genuine question is, what does WWE look like without a McMahon?
Well, I would say from a creative, like from the actual show perspective, it's been better without him.
Is he Jerry Jones? Like the product will only be as good as he allows it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very that when you put it in that perspective, yes, because there have been a lot of times where I've read accounts from people that have discussed about how Vince is someone that gets kind of frustrated a lot with how certain things are written and very much is his way or the highway. Yeah. Like there have been stuff I've read where like an hour before a show, he'll rip up the script and tell you to redo it. Like, and people are scrambling backstage to put it together and stuff like that. Like there's been some stuff that like is kind of like, doesn't seem like a workplace environment that would thrive typically and would probably not like work in today's society, obviously, and is very stressful. And I also think too, like and I could argue that over, especially probably over the last 20 years, I would argue Vince's creative direction or decisions is what led to the rise in kind of indie wrestling in terms of like more options
Oh, he
and
made
outlets for
AEW.
people.
He
He did,
made
yeah.
AEW. Yeah.
Yeah, he made it. Any competitor that has come up to challenge or has like gained a foothold in like the landscape has been a direct result of the fact that people just don't like what he has put out for the
Did
masses
they
to consume.
just buy them up until AEW said we won't be bought and we have more money than you with Shad Khan? Did they buy just the best wrestlers, or how did they sniff out or snuff? Excuse me. How did they snuff out competition?
In terms of the companies
In
or in
terms of
terms of the,
indie, like how has WWE become the
well,
monopoly that it is? Because Raw and SmackDown were two separate shows, right?
yes, they're separate shows. They're all
I'm
housed
so
under
sorry, not separate
WWE,
shows,
obviously,
separate
but yeah.
entities. There was WWE wasn't always WWE, right? And they bought WWF.
So they were WWF like from like 83 when Vince bought it from his dad at the time. But in terms of competition, like there was the territory system like back in the day, and he started like what he did was he was poaching all of like the top stars from those territories into
Yes.
his own company, and thus killing the territory system. The only competitor that kind of was still around was Jim Crockett Promotions, which ended up becoming WCW because Ted Turner bought them.
Yes. Is
So
that Tommy Dreamboat or whatever?
that's ECW. That
Damn.
that came in the mid
I
'90s
was
as well.
close. I was
But
close. I was
you
close.
were close, yeah. So WCW was probably the main competitor for him for a while, and they didn't start getting hot until the mid '90s when they got TV exposure. They got all of Vince's old stars to kind of help like grab their attention and stuff. So that was the real competition. But WCW fell by the wayside because of bad business practices, being a part of a larger corporate entity instead of its own thing. And Vince took advantage of it. The Attitude Era was kind of thriving, and that's how he bought WCW. But what's funny is Vince actually, and I learned about this like years ago, is that what actually he bought, he only spent $2 million on WCW,
What?
which was
When was that?
that was 2001.
Okay, so not as little as it is now, but still
Mm-hmm.
not as much as I would expect.
No, yeah, it's not as much. And the reason it's not as much is because all he bought was like the rights to like the tape library and intellectual property.
Okay.
So once he bought that, he owned the company. Like it wasn't like Turner was going to do anything with another company because they wanted out of the wrestling space altogether.
Yeah.
So there was that. And ECW actually, I didn't find out about this until maybe when I was in high school or college. I never knew that Vince actually was kind of a minority like investor in ECW.
Hmm.
Yeah, so like it was, so while it kind of was competition, it was also like partially funded by McMahon because he was using it as an entity to have some of his guys like work there to like get reps and
Interesting.
stuff. So it's a
So
loose thing, but
pivoting a little bit,
mhm.
is the expectation that we have seen the last of Vince McMahon in the WWE universe?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Is the expectation that we will see somebody have the same power, or are they going to use this opportunity to diversify that?
Well, I mean, they're part of the larger entity in general because so like when WWE and UFC merged to become TKO, they're housed under the Endeavor umbrella, which is Ari Emanuel, who's one of the biggest like, you know, I guess power brokers in
Yeah.
all of entertainment. So he's the one that's essentially the head of this entity. And then beneath that, kind of Dana White is still heading like UFC, but in WWE, I think it's kind of a tag team of Nick Khan who does like the business end, and then Paul
Yeah.
Levesque who handles the creative side. So I don't think we'll ever see anything close to McMahon again. So I would say it's very much now a corporate entity to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, their board of directors is impressive, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
they have so Nick Khan, president of WWE, on there. Steve Koonin, the CEO of the Atlanta Hawks. A bunch of other people here who are massive. Jonathan Kraft, president of the Kraft Group and the Patriots,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. Yeah. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which is
that was yeah. Let's speaking about this too. Like that last Monday, you had both the announcement that WWE signed a deal with Netflix and that The Rock was going to be on the board of directors of TKO at the same time, and that he also got the rights to his name back as well, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Jesus Christ.
All in that day, both those things happened, which is kind of crazy. And something I also didn't think about with this too is that The Rock being on the board is fascinating to me, because now that they're moving to Netflix in 2025, and someone I don't know who brought this to my attention, but it's fascinating. The amount of money that Netflix is spending on Raw. They're spending
they're doing it live, right?
Yes, they're doing it live. Which and by the way, I love this idea, because while you can do it live, I love the fact that you're not beholden to a specific time that you have to drop it. It just has to be on Monday. So realistically, you can have a live Raw like air from like somewhere internationally and then drop at any point in the day on Monday, and then anyone can watch it whenever they feel pleased. So I think that's brilliant. But something I kind of thought about is that, and I think I read about this, is that Netflix is spending like $500 million a year for the rights to Raw. That's a lot of money that was probably going to be used for like original content.
That
you're not going to have anymore. But you now have someone on the board of TKO who has their property on Netflix, who also has his own production company.
Yep.
That you could also very easily probably leverage that relationship to be able to still have original content put on Netflix, so people aren't missing out on that entirely, but maybe not have like the weight of kind of paying even more than you were expecting for it as well. So I would not be surprised if we see more $7 produced stuff on Netflix moving forward. Not a bad thing for the record, but it would just be interesting if that was the case.
I like that. Let's just finish the next 13 minutes talking wrestling, and then we can spend an hour on the draft, because I want Josh to know the longest running wrestling talk went without him.
Yeah. See, I'm all for this, although I was hoping that I could tell you about something that I found out about today that I think you would flip over. But...
Okay, let me ask you one more question, and then you can just say it.
Go ahead.
Last question about wrestling, Greg. Do we believe the WWE will now, without Vince McMahon at the helm, open the doors to cross competition with brands like AEW? My reason for asking before you answer is because I think Vince McMahon really is the guy who choked the puppy so hard it died and made all these other indie brands and AEW happen. And I could see the WWE saying, let's flip completely and go against what Vince was standing on, because it's so easy to undercut him right now. And that would open the door, Greg, for a Live versus PGA-esque thing. Like a genuine thing that is brewing in the world is competition versus competition. And I would love to see the winner of WrestleMania go up against the winner of AEW's best event.
You're on the right path, because they've kind of already like done a little tiny stuff with it. So like at the women's Royal Rumble match, they had the TNA women's champion Jordynne Grace actually in the Rumble match.
Wow.
They've already discussed and they've already had some conversations with New Japan Pro Wrestling, because the new president in New Japan is Hiroshi Tanahashi, and him and Paul have a friendship. They sent one of their NXT guys to work in All Japan Pro Wrestling event earlier this year. So they're being and by the way, this also started last year too, because Shinsuke Nakamura worked a Pro Wrestling Noah match, which was the Great Muta's retirement match actually. So they are willing to work with outside promotions on kind of like a special basis. But I do think now that kind of you have a different leadership, I think you're going to see more collaboration moving forward, because I think I think the difference with Vince running it
Yeah.
versus like Nick and Triple H is that Vince is very much all about his creation. It's all about
Yes.
his
He needs to
way.
be the
It's he's
guy.
very protective, which in fairness, he's protective of it because he built it himself. I think with Nick and Paul recognizes that Nick will take the business aspect of it to figure out what can get them the most money. Paul will look at from the perspective of what is best for the business as a whole. And if relationships and finding ways to cross promote are the best ways to kind of help the industry as a whole grow and advance, I think they're willing to do it if the right situation comes up. So I think we'll see something kind of similar, but I don't think it'll be AEW from the start. I think that's going to be something that might take a few years before they actually build on that. But with like kind of smaller promotions that are kind of growing,
Yeah.
I could definitely see it happen.
Okay, I lied. One more question before you tell me your cool thing.
Go ahead.
So CM Punk back. I think back into WWE, and there's always Hart coming back, The Rock coming back, even Cena coming back. Like, there's always going to be guys that are coming back from the old days and like bring them back. I mean, even Mick Foley and Stone Cold were back in WrestleMania, and like it was short and it was fun.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the next former wrestler that they could bring back that would make sense in a way, and or who do you just be like, you know what, honestly, this guy should come back for like one ceremonial match, somebody that's due, somebody that is maybe hasn't been back for a little bit, but you're like, you know what, honestly, it would be really cool, because for me, I think that if I'm looking back, like most of the guys are still in it.
They are, yeah.
And so that's kind of
yeah. John Cena's already said that he plans to retire at 50.
Yeah.
And he's 46 right now, so he has 4 years left. And he kind of does like sporadic stuff from time to time.
Yeah.
So, like, that's kind of up there. You know what's crazy too? And I just think about it, and I just think about how like everyone always says never say never in the wrestling business, because somehow, some way, you always come circling around. I never thought I would see Punk in a WWE
I'd
ring
agree.
ever
I'd
again.
agree. After the sit down where he shut his mic off, I thought it was done.
I never thought I would see that ever, and it actually happened. So like anything is possible now when you think about it. I don't really know of many guys or women for that matter that have kind of been out of the business for an extended period of time, or just like have been taking a break and then have like kind of been waiting in the wings almost. Because like even Austin like shouldn't have like no one was kind of clamoring for Austin to have another match, because like everyone kind of knew hey, he has like bad neck problems, like he should not wrestle. Like we appreciate his sporadic appearances and stuff, but not a match. There's been talk about The Rock wanting to come back now, which makes sense because he's on the board, and there's been talk about him wanting to have a match with Roman, but I don't know if like I think that would be a great attraction, but I'm okay with it for a one-off, but I don't know how they make it work, but we'll see.
Can I give you one?
I don't know about who.
So I think this is tough. It only makes sense because it's been 6 years since his last match, and it hasn't been that long, but I think it's tough because he's a great actor. I would love to see Batista back, and here's why. I think that Dave Batista, the wrestler, was athletic, was fun, was very B- in terms of the grand scheme of things. Like, I think he was a great wrestler when I saw him. I just didn't know much about him. I knew he had a son on his belly.
But he had a presence. He had a presence that like gravitated you towards him. Yeah.
He has been the most talented actor the WWE has ever sent to Hollywood. I love Cena. I can't wait to see John Cena's new movie with Efron, where he's Stinky McTinky or whatever the fuck the name is.
Stanley
McLanley.
Yeah, something like that. Because I was gonna say he's in Argyle, and I kind of want to see that.
John Cena is such a cool actor. He almost is always John Cena, whether it's funny or serious. Like even Peacemaker is the same guy as I love like Cock Blockers. Love him. The Rock.
Cock Blockers was a wild movie to see John Cena in, and that was kind of like the switch flip where I was like, okay, he's an actor.
Dude, he's good. He's a great actor. The Rock,
he really is
the biggest movie star on the planet, maybe the biggest human on the planet. But when it comes down to actually acting, I think it's Batista, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. I don't think it's a hot
Oh, I
take
think
or anything.
I think when I'm trying to think like what role kind of like really got me like to believe like Batista is a
Mine
real
was,
actor.
I would say, Knock at the Cabin. Like, he was great as
Okay.
Drax, the Destroyer.
Yes.
But Knock at the
I still haven't
Cabin,
I still haven't seen Dune Part 1, but like I know he's in it and I
he's
imagine
sick,
he was
dude.
probably very good in it. Yeah.
So here's what I say. I'm pulling up his IMDb. There's some movies on here I know are great. So obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, we love him as Drax. He's
Yeah.
unbelievable as Drax.
Mhm.
I did not know he was in The Boy and the Heron, so that's cool. Knock at the Cabin, I thought it was one of the movies of the year last year, Greg. I would highly recommend checking that out.
Really?
Yes, that and Glass Onion, the Knives Out movie.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
Yeah, I forgot he's in that. Yeah.
He's phenomenal. Army of
Mhm.
Thieves, I still need to see. Dune, he is unbelievable in Dune.
He
Just
has
great.
very low key comedic timing. Like Drax proved how good
Yeah.
of comedic timing he had, just like from being
Oh,
stoic.
dude. I'll give you one more.
Yeah.
Where is Gamora? Or why is Gamora? Or how is Gamora? Like, it's one of those things where, like, it's only been, so 2019 was his last match. So I don't think it's been that far. But I do think people like me, I would tune in because I'm curious. I'd be
I
curious.
think what's funny is like he was adamant that that match against Triple H was his last match.
Okay.
He was very
See, I
adamant
didn't know
that
that,
he
so that's
like
fair.
he was adamant that he was done. But I hear what you're saying because like I would not mind him wanting to have his like last moment or last match ever because like for instance like in AEW Sting is having his last match ever this March in Greensboro and I can't wait for the pay-per-view.
Nice.
But the last time I saw him in a WWE ring, he broke his neck in a match against Seth Rollins. So this what I appreciate about this is like this is being built up truly as his last match and like there's a lot of build around it. Like there's like
That's cool.
I think they've sold already like 18 or 19,000 seats in the place they're going to, which is awesome. So I can appreciate someone wanting to kind of come back and get like that one last story or that one last match to really kind of solidify his legacy. So I get what you're saying. I can't think of like many guys off the top of my head that I haven't seen in a while. That
It's
like
a tough
don't
question
that like
to just answer
yeah.
cold turkey. Like it's not a
No,
you know
no.
what I mean. It's something.
No,
that
I
I've
get it.
started
It's
thinking.
it's an interesting question though because like but the problem is that a lot of guys like if I haven't seen them in a while, they're usually it's because they're either like not healthy enough or
Yeah.
because like they're either working like somewhere else. So like
Well, what
like
about
it's
when was Daniel Bryan's last match? He came back again, right?
yeah, but he's consistently working like in AEW now. So like for the point is like he's been on like a tear. Like he works like he works a lot.
Shout out
so
to
like
Ping. Hey boys, Doc Rivers sucks.
wow. Okay, coming in hot.
Well, I will say, Greg, the funny thing about for everyone at home that understands, we have a group chat. And Ping's from Pittsburgh, lived in Philly, so he was saying Doc Rivers sucked. And Greg rightly said you're probably being just a bum-hurt 76er fan. And then
It's two games.
Greg, do you know what happened last game with the pass in? They're down 3 points. They inbound the ball to Giannis to get fouled for 2, and then the game was over. Like it was they didn't take a timeout. If you take a timeout, you at least get it pushed up to half court. From there, what? Okay, it says you froze and it says my internet's unstable. Ty, can you see us? Oh, say, can you see?
You froze up on me. That was weird.
Light. No, okay, we're good. It said my internet was unstable, and you were like,
dude, oh my god, finally it's not my internet that's
Sid
screwing
said
up
he's
this
froze.
time.
Yeah, but it froze you for the people at home, so it don't matter. No.
Oh, whatever.
Greg,
Fuck
so
off.
all they had to do was inbound, call a timeout. They would have been pushed up to the halfway. Then you inbound to Dame, who's obviously the most clutch player in the NBA, to shoot the 3.
Yes.
I can see you. Now I can't. Now you gone. Hold on. We back.
Okay.
Guys, I really need you to sort it out. Did I fuck up or are we back? What's going on here? All right, Sid and Pigger. All right, Greg, let's transition. Let's talk a little NFL draft here.
Before we get in the NFL draft, because that's going to take up a lot of our time.
It's going to take up an hour.
I need to tell you about something that I saw
today. The fun
today.
story, yes.
That's going to blow your mind. Okay. So 2024.
This year.
2024 is something that we're gonna have the Olympics this year, right? We've been seeing the advertisements for, we have the Summer Olympics.
No,
this year, right?
I'm more wondering where the story's going.
Okay, so we have the Olympics this year. We've been seeing advertisements for it and such. Now, I have. Now, obviously, and I saw something on the ticker on ESPN, like I think a couple days ago, where like a Russian team is losing its gold medal from I think 2020 because of like illegal doping, which is it happens all the time. Go figure. But here's something that I saw today that I couldn't believe was a real thing, and I know it's real because it came from Front Office Sports, which is like a sports business like publication that I follow. Deke, have you ever wondered what an Olympics would be like if there was no drug testing whatsoever?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm all in on the drug Olympics.
The 2025 introduction of the enhanced games.
Give me the drug Olympics. And also it's just steroids and shit. I want Coke. And I want people to have to throw javelins high on shrooms.
Yes. Dude, I could not believe it when I saw it, and I looked at the post, and it was the co-founder of PayPal, who's a billionaire, is the one who's starting this, and then like on the next thing, there's a commercial already, like an advertisement already put out for the enhanced games, and it's a dude who's like, I guess, like getting ready to run a 400-meter dash or something like that, and he talks about like how he is the true world record holder and has like broken Usain Bolt's like world record and stuff. But like at the same time, it's like, dude, you're taking shit to help you with it. So I think I saw in like a tweet or something, they're only doing 5 events to start, but they have like multiple like venture capital investors for this thing.
Oh yeah, no, they have the venture, like they have motherfuckers on there.
Yes,
that's a decent idea. Paying. One thing I'll say, Greg, is I think in the enhanced Olympics, you should be able to use anything the planet produces. Which what I mean by that is like robotic legs.
Okay.
But you just have to be run. You gotta. If it kills you, it kills you. Ping says, I want the dehanced games and illicit drugs that inhabit. So all drugs that make you not be able to move. I want the. So here's a similar.
I had a joke for the dehanced games, but I'm not gonna do it because that's a real bad thing to say. So I'm gonna hold that in.
I'd probably do really well in it. I like the idea. This is not my own take. This is something I'm copying and pasting. That one random human should participate in every event.
Okay.
To showcase how amazing these athletes are. So, like, if, we're watching Simone Biles in gymnastics, and then here comes me, and it's like, all right, I get like 3 months to train. I want to show everyone how hard it is. Like Michael Phelps swimming. How much faster he is than the average random person deserves to be put on TV for us all to see.
It's like you essentially kind of want a more even version of like what's the Atlanta Braves have like their the freeze race or something, like where you get like a half distance start, but then the freeze gets let out and he somehow still beats you because he's just super fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what you're trying to put on for people. I dig it.
It's to show how fast Michael Phelps actually swims. Because I can't comprehend it. I see him swim and I'm like, why is he almost losing to the French? Fuck the French. If you put me in that pool, Greg, I would still be swimming, is the tough thing.
So you're trying to really push over the narrative, by the way, that like, hey, these people may be struggling against like others, but these are world-class athletes they're competing against as well. If you tried getting in that pool, you would suck.
Oh, yep. Yep.
It's like no different. It's like no different than you being on the couch watching a football game and being like, "Hey, why did you? This dude got to get his block off right."
Yep.
And then meanwhile, you're chewing on shits and shit while that's
like
going
a
on.
kicker misses it. And I'm like, what a fucking moron.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, Greg, let's do a mock. This will most likely take the hour. Do you need to use the restroom at all?
I'm good, baby.
Okay, I might have to during, which is fine. I'm going to transition us. So, Greg, what it is this is our traditional mock setup. It is every pick in the first round. And I think this has the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. We don't need to go crazy.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth,
Real quick.
but I do want to have a discussion about each pick. I'd say we have, 2 minutes per
Real
pick.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. Before we get into the draft,
buddy.
any thoughts or notes you wanted to bring up so far from like the Senior Bowl practices or anything? Just out of curiosity, like anything catch your eye? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not going to put too much into Tomlin on Bo Nix, but here's the thing I say, Greg. I am not mad at the Steelers drafting Bo Nix if they do, and here's why. Swing for the fucking fences. Swing for a quarterback. If we walked out next year, and granted, I'd be a little upset that we used a first-round pick on not something, but if our quarterback room next year was Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, and Bo Nix, I would say we have a really fucking good chance at a starting quarterback. That's it. That's it. We have a really good chance that one of the three of these guys is a starting NFL quarterback.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I mean, it's better than not having.
One of them is a starter in the NFL.
One of them, sure. We'll figure it out as we go. God help me.
What about you for the Senior Bowl?
It's just been practices so far. Like it hasn't been like we haven't gone into any like measurables or any like obviously like when the combine comes around, like I'm gonna go crazy and watching the corners like just absolutely burn the 40-meter dash and stuff like that. 40-yard dash, sorry. But in terms of guys that have like I've read about that have impressed, Quinion Mitchell, the corner from Toledo, apparently has been really good. Him and like Roman Wilson, the receiver from Michigan, have just been going at it during practices and have just been like bouncing off of each other and stuff, which has been awesome to see. I've heard the quarterbacks have kind of like underwhelmed a little bit to a degree.
I'd agree. I saw the Penix and Hartman and Bo Nix drop back was like all I really saw. I'm waiting for the game. I'm not too.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that's something I'm looking forward to. Like I forget it's always like the week before the Super Bowl, so at least like that's something weekend? That I think it's this weekend. It is this weekend, yeah.
Sunday or Saturday? February. It's on the 3rd. Okay, Saturday.
Saturday, yeah. But yeah, I've read about those guys. I've seen the Tomlin and Weidl have been really focusing on line play, which is good to see. I'm a little bummed out that Fuaga has not been like kind of like this like really kind of like shining in
I thought he'd be the
like,
mountain.
He's been good, but he hasn't been like like overpowering dudes or anything like that, or been like kind of like just like absolutely enveloping guys. Like that's kind of something I'm kind of like, damn, I was hoping for some sort of like domination from him, like against the edges or something. So that's kind of bumming out a little bit. Everything I've read about the center from Oregon, what was it, Jackson Powers?
JPJ.
Whatever. JPJ, yeah. JPJ has been like he's an amazing teammate. He has been just like a leader on the line. He is like celebrating when guys make plays. He is absolutely what you want on your team. So it's like, damn, okay, we're getting somewhere to see what goes there. And then of course, me and you having that conversation last night about Zach Frazier and getting off on me about how like I think
I've never gotten off on you.
Just saying.
All right, yeah, Zach Frazier is a Steeler in the second round. All right, Greg.
Second round I'm fine with, just not a first round pick for him. Just saying.
Pick a number between 1 and 100.
53.
Okay, I had odds was first, evens was second, so you have the first overall pick.
Sounds good.
Here's what I'll say. you have complete creative ownership over the situation. So if you want the Bears to keep Fields, they keep them. If you want them to trade, like, let's just assume that you trade Fields for the absolute middle of the pack, what he would be. So you can make that decision. It's not like I've had people that do these mocks are like, well, I'm trading Fields for 3 firsts. So obviously, no, you get the minimum between what you would want and what they would want if you trade Fields. So there's not like some like, well, clearly I'm going to get a big package. You got like a third or something. Yeah, you are up for the Bears here, Greg. And just so you know, if you want to pull up on your laptop the show, I have the board and everything, but more than happy to help whereas need be for team needs and the players. You are on the board for the Bears.
So I am of the mindset, and I am not falling for the stupid Mike Tannenbaum logic of resetting the clock on my quarterback and shit like that. No, absolutely not. I think Justin Fields is a very good quarterback. I think the fact the Bears went 7 and they go 8-9 last year, I think 7-10, 8-9. I think.
Yeah.
You okay there, bud?
Yeah. It got cold.
Oh,
couldn't shut my window.
Right. Like, I mean, come on. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I understand that the front office didn't like pick their guy, but at the same time, like, it's not like Justin Fields had a lot to work with. Like, I didn't even realize that DJ Moore had a career year last year until I think recently.
Bad career in Carolina.
He did.
Comparatively to what he could be.
Right. I think the Bears have so many more things they need to address instead of resetting the clock on their quarterback situation. I would much rather they trade down from this pick, get a king's ransom, and build around Justin Fields, because I think Justin Fields is talented enough to at least to be a franchise quarterback. I truly do believe that.
Do you want to propose a trade? There is a propose a trade button.
Not at this time. I'm going. I'm not going to get into details on that.
So you're going to act as if they're keeping Fields.
I'm going to act as if they're keeping Fields, and I'm going to take the best talented player in this draft, in my opinion, and that is Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State.
Okay. I don't.
This is going to be an argument for the next 3 months, I imagine, in our next 2 months, I imagine, in our group chat, by the way, about this, because I already know I can hear Dre in my ear saying he's not what they need. Stuff. No, fuck off.
My issue with that is that I am on team restart the clock.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Always have been. What wins the Super Bowl, Greg? A quarterback on a rookie contract in a defense that gets paid. They paid Montez Sweat to come in. They have a great defense. They'll pay.
They still haven't paid him yet. They traded for him, but he's a free agent.
They did a.
No, they didn't sign him.
No, they did. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure they didn't sign him because he was a pending free agent when they traded
Chicago agreed to a 4-year, $98 million, 79 or 72.9
Wow.
guaranteed. Yeah.
Okay.
They signed him very quickly because the juxtaposition between him and Chase was huge about what he got for him.
Well, Chase was always hurt too. So
agreed,
like,
but
kind of not
Montez Sweat is
yeah.
just better. The interesting thing here for me, and the reason I like resetting the clock, is a rookie quarterback is always better. And okay, Austin, I need you to comment in, you dork. He said send Fields to Atlanta and get it over with, Greg.
No, first of all, and I think saying that a rookie quarterback is always better is kind of a fallacy. The rookie quarterback isn't always better. The rookie quarterback contract is always
better. And you
better.
Can't convince me Justin Fields isn't going to ask for the max amount of money he deserves, which is going to be a deal that the Bears probably don't want to pay.
True, but then you're also basing your logic on if your rookie quarterback is good enough to get you to the promised land, which is not always the case.
Is Justin Fields?
I think Justin Fields is good enough to get them to that next level, though. You're banking on the logic that a rookie quarterback is going to be good enough to get them to that promised land. I don't know that. I would
say Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will have a better career than Justin Fields. And I don't think that's a hot take.
Well, especially for the first couple of years that Fields was in, that's fair. I can give you that.
So, regardless, that is your pick. That is fine. Moving on here. Let's keep it rolling, buddy, because you got 2 minutes per. Washington Commanders. They get their head coach. They get Austin.
I hate you, by the way,
me
for
again.
that.
It won't let me. Yes, it will.
Jesus Christ, Austin.
I love you, Austin. I got the Commanders. They got Dan Quinn. They need a quarterback. This is the easiest pick ever. I would go Drake May if you would have taken him. Give me Caleb Williams in Washington, Greg. I don't really think. Look, everyone's talking about hating him or not thinking he's the guy or kind of getting into like he was a bust this year. Are we all fucking dumb, Greg? Do we forget how good he was last year? Like, genuinely, are we
very
stupid?
Good. Very good.
Him and Jordan Addison lit the world on fire. And he replaced Spencer Rattler, who was a guy that everyone loved. Caleb Williams, still the real deal. Everyone needs to stop being like, he's a bust, he paints his fingernails. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. He's the best quarterback prospect we've had in a long time. Big fan. That's the pick. Greg, you're up.
Yeah, like, listen, if I didn't believe that Justin Fields should still be the quarterback in Chicago, I would have picked it at number 1 overall.
Okay.
I absolutely would have. I think he absolutely deserves it. By the way, real quick, thoughts on the Dan Quinn hire? Like, I think it's a year too late for him to get a second shot, but I mean, I don't hate it.
I still think the defense was very, very, very good this year, and I think if he's any sort of good coach, he needs to get the fuck out of Dallas. So,
yeah, I think, but I'm surprised that new ownership in Washington decided to go with a retread. But I also kind of understand it because true. I think they really wanted to kind of like get some sort of like, and not to say Ron Rivera was a bad person. I think he was a stopgap, yes, but I think that in terms of like the new regime and new era in Washington, they needed to kind of like maybe get some sort of stability back.
Well, I bet you right now they wanted Ben Johnson, and he wasn't there.
Or Bobby Slowick with Houston, and he decided he didn't want it. Or Mike McDonald, for that matter. So.
You're up for the Patriots.
All right, this one's easy for me. I'm going to go Drake May, quarterback there. I watched Drake May live. I watched him tear my heart out against Pitt. I know this kid is good. He is not like Sam Howell that you hate so much. He is definitely not like Mitch Trubisky. The dude is a gamer, and I think he is going to be a great fit
like Sam
in New
Howell.
England.
I just don't think he's a starter.
But I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a great fit in New England, and especially because I think that O-line is not as terrible as we think. I just think that they need someone who's capable of being able to lead an offense. And I'm curious to see who Gerard Mayo gets to be the offensive coordinator there.
Didn't they hire someone, or am I crazy?
Alex Van Pelt, I think.
Maybe.
I think that was just today, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's the clear pick. There are a lot of rumors, Greg, about Jaden Daniels going ahead of Drake May, and as much as I don't like Drake May, I think he's the clear. Here's what I'll say: nobody will fault you for taking Drake May over Jaden Daniels. Everyone will fault you for taking Jaden Daniels over Drake May if he doesn't work out.
Fair. It's very much. I think it's kind of like the Tua Justin Herbert comparison, where like. Herbert has all the measurables, but he didn't necessarily like have the notoriety.
Yeah.
But I think he's a better pro prospect.
Yeah. So this is the worst case scenario for the Cardinals that Marvin went one, because their needs right now: edge, DT, quarterback, cornerback, OG. They stick with Kyler Murray. They really like him. I like the fact that Gannon is he's their defensive. For Philly when he moved there, right? Or is he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that he's the defensive guy. I'm looking at wide receiver here. I do, Greg. I have been turned really, really, really on to Malik Nabers. I think he's been great.
I think Nabers, yeah.
But for me, Greg, this is a pick that I'm gonna make now, knowing that I think he gets passed. Give me Dallas Turner. I do think Loatu Latu can take him up, but I think Dallas Turner's ceiling is crazy. I don't think he scraped his ceiling at Alabama.
I was gonna say this is kind of a weaker edge class compared to usual. Everything I've kind of seen about Dallas Turner has been kind of like in the teams-ish area, I'd say. So I'm kind of surprised you're going this route. It's definitely not a Cliff. It's not a oh God, what was the? It's not a Cleveland Farrell pick for the record, for a locker room leader type guy, because I think there's some legitimate talent there. But a little surprising for that. I don't hate it though. Don't hate
So
it.
here's why I think it's surprising. It is a weak edge class. I agree. I also think, though, Greg, it's a weak defensive tackle class. It's a weak
It is.
cornerback class. Like, I don't necessarily look at this class and love those things. I think Jerron Newton has been somebody. I think Latu Latu is going to test very well, and I know I'm saying Latu, whatever it is. Jared Verse, another guy that I think is going to test very, very well and climb up boards. I do think we could get to a place, and I'm looking at the board now, obviously. We could get to a place that Nate Wiggins or Kool-Aid McKinstry go this high. For me, man, it's like, if he's not there, maybe Neighbors is the guy. Just go with a guy that's going to be on the Cardinals for 8 years. That Isaiah Simmons was a question mark. Dallas Turner, you know he's going to be good. So you're up for the Chargers when you're done with it. But please,
I feel like a natural inclination for us is to get away from guys who don't have a position, which is what Isaiah Simmons was. He was like, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety or something like that? And you can never actually like pinpoint what he is, and it just didn't work out. Chargers, this one's easy for me.
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh gets a offensive weapon for his system. He is a damn good talent. I know tight ends struggle usually their rookie year, but I think with the right offense, it will work. Give me Brock Bowers here for the Chargers.
This feels as sharpied in as a pick can possibly be. My only question for you is this really what the Chargers need? I think it's what Herbert needs, and I think I think they move maybe Williams and Keenan Allen, and Brock Bowers is a freak of nature. I'm just curious.
I don't know if they move both. I could see them moving one of them, definitely.
Well, Quentin Johnson's a fucking bust. So, you know what, Greg? Yeah. Honestly, I'm pretty good at this bust thing.
You have been very high on the bust.
I'm on a heater of busts, buddy.
Yeah, your bust radar is usually very high. I'll give you that. But no, I didn't care for that pick. I know you love Keenan Allen. I think Mike Williams is one of the most underappreciated receivers in football. So I think
when he's on the field, I'd agree.
When he's on the field, yeah, I think their O-line's not terrible. Slater's pretty good. So, and I think they have pieces. I forgot Zion Johnson was on that line too.
Yeah,
that was a guy I wanted the Steelers to take
Boston
too.
College.
So like I think they have the right pieces, and I think the defense needs to get their shit together because they have guys. Derwin James should be one of the best defensive players in football, and he's just
on the field.
And when he's on the field, yes. So, but I think, and here's the thing too, I think the usage of Sam Laporta this year really kind of like changed my notion how good a tight end can be his rookie year.
It's a good take.
Really could. I because they utilized him so effectively. They already had a good offensive line, so he didn't have to like be like a requirement to help block much, and he was able to go out in open space. And because Jared Goff needed to check down as much as he possibly could, but that's for another story. But Herbert's never had a tight end that I think was as dynamic as Bauer. So I think it'll go a long way to help him. And we all know Harbaugh loves using tight ends and utilizing them effectively. So I think he'll be a perfect fit in that system.
This one's weird for me. I'm on the Giants. Needs are showing here as running back, guards, safety, linebacker, wide receiver. I'm between two positions. I don't really think they go quarterback here, Greg. I think that would the reason being I think that would let the franchise have a guy that's an excuse for Dabble. Like I think Brian Dabble. I think if he hires a quarterback, he's hiring it for the next guy. He needs to hire people that help his team right now because they did pay Daniel Jones. I know it's not on here, but I think moving Neal into guard and picking one of these tackles would be huge. At the same time, though, Greg, I really am sitting here, and Joe Alt, generational tackle. Fashanu out of Penn State, generational tackle. Two key crucial tackles. My biggest issue, though, with the Giants, I couldn't name a single receiver. Give me Malik.
I was thinking about this too. Is Sterling Shepard I'm assuming not on that team anymore.
No, so Sid says, why do the Giants need a running back? Real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off. They tagged Saquon. They may tag him again. He's most likely not going to be a Giant walking into next year, and they have no backup, so it's a big...
Wan'Dale Robinson plays for the Giants.
Wan'Dale Robinson plays for the Giants. Kenny Golladay did.
I don't know if he still
Kadarius Toney
does that
used to.
contract.
Yeah, no, the Giants have nothing, man. So get Malik, get an actual guy, be happy about it. And then, Greg, I hate to say that this is going to be the easiest pick of the draft for you, but you have the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the offensive line has been a atrocity is the right word to do it, I guess. I think I think building around Will Levis is going to be key for them. I think it's picking between Alt and Fashunu, which is going to be
Yep.
the key there. Is do you want the polished tackle in Joel, or do you want Fashunu with the size and the length, but maybe needs to work on the technique a little bit? I think I don't want to say he's like in that oh goddamn, who's the tackle for the Jets that like Mekhi
Mekhi
Becton?
Becton, yeah.
He's not in the Mekhi Becton category type, but he still needs some like refinement to his game. Having said that though, give me Joe Alt. Pair him and Skoronski on the left
Yes,
side of
that's
that
the
line.
pick.
That'll go a long way. That'll
That's
go a long way for Will Levis.
That's the correct pick. I like everybody. Joe Alt, he's safe. Him and Skoronski would be crazy. Sid writes in, where do we think Saquon signs? So the interesting thing is that running backs aren't worth a fuck anymore.
Nope.
They just is not. For me, Saquon is going to have to take a pretty loose deal, and it's going to be for a team that doesn't have one. And dare I say, Gregory, Harbaugh's going to be looking to take some swings.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
You have Herbert on a huge deal. You got Brock Bowers on a small deal. You get rid of your cap. They have huge cap issues. I would not be floored to see Saquon Barkley as an LA Charger because they're going to let Eckler walk. And as much as Eckler's going to walk, I don't really see Isaiah Spiller as their guy. I could see the Chargers trying to get Saquon in like a, hey, this is the year we are pushing, but it'd have to be friendly. It'd have to be really, really friendly because also Derrick Henry's on the market. And Derrick Henry is a guy that some team is going to try to sign real cheap. So we'll see. That's kind of one of the inkling of landing spots. I also very much think the Houston Texans attack one of them because they're trying to capitalize on C.J. Stroud. So Barkley or Henry could go to Houston. I don't think it would be Henry because he's in that division. Saquon could go there as well.
I could see him in Houston though, like Henry. I don't think division would be an issue there, but
he's just always been a Titan is the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. But I also think he pairs well with that offense that they're working with because they just invested heavily in that offensive line last year to protect CJ. And also because CJ throws the ball so much, and then he even claims he's a Steph Curry of football. Like that is going to be something that I think is going to help Derrick Henry because he's not going to be utilized as much.
I got the Falcons. This one's fairly easy. They need a lot of stuff. I think that what could happen here, Greg, is this guy goes higher and they end up taking Dallas Turner or Latu. But give me Jayden Daniels. I think that they need a young quarterback. They need someone electric. He just came off the Heisman. Big Jayden Daniels fan in terms of what he did in college. I wish it would have equated to some more wins and they would have been in the conversation. But give me Jayden Daniels to Atlanta. They get a quarterback because you kept Justin Fields.
Yes, and looking at that offense, you have so many pieces to work with. The O-line's not terrible, but I do think having a quarterback with mobility is going to go a long way. And I truly, truly think that because you brought in Raheem Morris specifically because you need to work with that defense more than anything because they have no pressure whatsoever. Like I think AJ Terrell is probably the best player on that team. Maybe Jesse Bates. I forgot Jesse Bates was on that team.
Agreed, but Terrell's a lockdown corner.
Yeah, so like secondary is good, but like goddamn, they need to figure out that front seven in the worst way and get a scheme to work well or figure out some sort of game plan to go with. I would not be surprised if they invest a lot of money in free agents on that line this year.
You are up for the Bears. You took Marvin Harrison Jr., Their needs are quarterback, edge, cornerback, DT, safety, but you've already said in this scenario you are re-signing Justin Fields.
I am. I'm keeping Justin Fields and drafting Marvin Harrison. And I'm also going to continue to invest in my quarterback to protect him. I'm going to take the best offensive lineman available, and that is Olu Fashunu. Yeah. I know they put money into the offensive line this past year, but you can never have enough protection for your franchise quarterback.
That's a great pick. I think that The Bears are interesting. It's a really tough division. Man, did Jordan Love look great? The Lions are terrific. I don't think the Vikings are that far away from being back in it, so they need to
I
do
agree.
something. So I like that a lot. I'm with you.
Yeah, if Kirk Cousins is healthy, I'm very curious to see how that offense looks. Although that defense, I think, still needs a lot of work.
I'm interested here. So I have the Jets. They have Aaron Rodgers again. Their number one need is tackle. Obviously, if Fashanu was still there, that'd be easy. Then it goes wide receiver, defensive tackle, center, and safety.
Ooh.
Wide receiver is an interesting one. They brought in all these guys Aaron Rodgers likes. I don't see them wasting another first-round pick. Garrett Wilson's elite. Like, if they spend another first tier, I could easily go Rome. But I hate this pick, and I hate to do this, and I don't enjoy it. But I am going to go J.C. Latham. And the reason I hate it, Greg,
Ooh, okay.
I think he was bad in Alabama's game. Like, I think he was historically bad and didn't give Milroe any chance to do anything. But at the same time, he is a safe tackle. He's not going to wow.
Yes.
He's not going to be anything crazy. But he's not Becton. He's not Font. He's not these guys. He will be a starting tackle for them for years.
Mhm.
And Aaron Rodgers literally just needs guys that are starters, and he will make magic happen if he can walk after all the ayahuasca. So that is my pick there, and you have the Vikings.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick, honestly, especially because he's not the prototypical Bama offensive lineman that like kind of comes out every year and is like you're going to get the measurables on.
Yeah.
But you just need bodies.
Agreed.
That's honestly kind of where you are. You just need bodies. Okay,
The
so I'm up for
Vikings
the
need
Vikings.
safety, corner, quarterback, running back, linebacker.
So this is interesting. I don't believe there's any safeties off the top of my head that are probably this high worthy, if I can think. So I might lean towards corner a little bit. Am I wrong? But I feel like even when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime, they've always had issues at corner, no matter who they can bring in
You're
or
on
what.
The Vikings?
Yeah.
And you said when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime?
Yeah.
Like when he was playing against them?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. No, sorry. The Aaron Rodgers line threw me off for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's okay.
They
It's
have I can't even name a good corner they've had.
They haven't had a good
They've
one.
had good safeties. Harrison.
Yeah.
Xavier
But they haven't
Rhodes.
had a
Xavier
good
Rhodes.
Xavier Rhodes is the last good one that they had, and he got obliterated, I think, in one game.
Well, yeah,
and that
Rhodes
just
closed
completely
lasted
destroyed-
about 2 seasons, so.
Yeah. God, that was a thing. God. Okay. So I'm probably gonna go corner here. I am gonna need a refresher on the board though.
Yeah,
if you don't
man.
mind.
So let me pull up corners. So Terrion Arnold is at 11, Kool-Aid McKinstry at 12, Cooper DeJean at 18, Nate Wiggins at 20.
I think Nate Wiggins has some interesting measurables that I could probably see him ending up going higher
I
than
agree.
projected. But I would also say that if I remember the times I watched Bama from when I did, Terrion Arnold was a guy that was like a dog in that secondary. Hey, Kool-Aid McKinstry has the best name, and I think he's gonna be a stud. But Terrion Arnold, I think, was the guy that was the one that made plays in that secondary,
Yeah.
and I think is the guy that you want shadowing for your top receiver. So I'm gonna go Terrion Arnold for him.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I think Arnold or Wiggins will be the number one. I love Kool-Aid. I don't think he has some drop or anything. I think they all three go first round with Cooper as well in there. So not a terrible corner class, just not one that has like a clear-cut maybe top 5 guy.
It's not a wow corner class like we're typically used to, you know. Like I feel like over the last few years, like there's been like a clear cut like can't miss corner that has come out that like we're kind of like, oh, we're like scrambling for. We're like we know is gonna like shut down or anything. Like we don't have that this year. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm up for the Broncos at 12, Greg. Team needs DT, cornerback, guard, edge. This pick, I'm going to take a swing. You know, we're having fun. We're hanging out. They let Russ walk. And you look at the situation. They really only have Jarrett Stidham there. Sean Payton's bringing in some Saints guys. And I don't necessarily know exactly what he's looking for at a quarterback, but I do know that the guy that's probably the most ready to plug into an offense now, and you just pray it's going to work out, is Bo Nix. I don't necessarily know if
Ooh.
Bo Nix goes here, but I think Bo Nix fits a lot of things. Bo Nix is very athletic. Bo Nix has a huge arm, and Bo Nix is a pro-ready quarterback. He's been in the pros, or he's been in college for so long. I don't know if, we're sitting here on February 1st doing this. Who knows if
Right.
it happens? But I'll tell you right now, I like Bo Nix more than Penix in terms of a start now team, and Sean Payton has a very short leash. He's not
He
drafting
does.
McCarthy. He's not drafting a guy that has 2 torn ACLs and Penix who could go down. He needs a guy that can just go in. Here's my system. Let's run it. It very much reminds me of a poor man's Drew Brees, meaning that he is a guy with a good arm that can get the ball where it needs to be. Bo Nix at 12.
Not undersized. Has a little bit of like little build to him. So I think he's definitely like the anti Drew Brees if you want to go
Yeah.
that route. I was trying to think about because he does kind of fit the mold, and also Sean Payton is a Bill Parcells disciple.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, Bill Parcells is the one who came up with the formula for quarterbacks, and I believe Bo Nix fits
Yes, he
that
does.
formula to a T.
Yes, he does.
He fits it exactly to a T. So
Bo Nix at 12,
I like
man.
it.
You got the Raiders. They need quarterback, cornerback, safety tackle, guard.
this one's easy for me. I know you don't like him, but they need a quarterback in the worst way possible. They need something because the fact that they got close to a wild card berth with Aiden O'Connell as the starting quarterback is crazy to me. I think they need to invest in that offensive line in the worst possible way because they have not had a good O-line in forever. But if the way the board is falling, give me JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, here's my issue with JJ, and it's not really his fault. They didn't throw in the game. They didn't need to throw in the game. I don't hate JJ in any way, shape, or form. He will be a first-round quarterback. I just don't think we're sitting there at the Pro Bowl watching JJ McCarthy throw. I don't think we're at the Super Bowl watching him do it. Greg, out of college, I would have said the same stuff about Brock Purdy. And granted, he went to a system that is perfect. But I just don't see it with JJ, and it's not any team that drafts him, you're going to be super happy with the guy you took. Like JJ, all accounts are amazing.
I think JJ McCarthy has the exact mindset and mentality you want for a starting quarterback in the NFL. Everything that you hear about him and everything that you kind of read about his preparation work, his ability to kind of like learn and like kind of process what the defense is giving you. And I don't want to say it's game manager-esque, but it's very much like above kind of what you typically expect from a game manager. And I still think he has mobility to make plays in the pocket if necessary. So there's something to him that I think with the right environment can make it work. And hear me out. He is also the exact opposite of probably any other quarterback that the Raiders have ever tried to put out there as like a franchise guy. So I think that is exactly the type of person that they're looking for a Antonio Pierce led team that is going to be all about blue collar tough mindset as well.
Yeah. Let's hope he can do his little yoga there too. Saints, Greg, we got tackle, DT, guard, linebacker, running back, tons of stuff here. It's interesting. I don't know what's going on with Carr. I don't know what's going on with their situation. I think that I'm a little scared for the future here, but there is something that I want to say out loud for everyone in the back. There is not a chance in hell Rome goes farther than here. It's not even a team need for them. Chris Olave is not a 1. And what I mean by that, Greg, is I love Chris Olave. He is a 1, but he's not Jamar Chase. He's not Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave could be the best number 2 wide receiver in the league. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. He's more of a deep ball guy. Get Rome in there, have 2 studs. Give Derek Carr a chance because you paid him a bag to come in and see what you have. It's not a need. It is a luxury.
Yeah. By the way, if you're going cap friendly, the Saints are, I believe, $80 million over the cap next year still.
Fucked. Which means they're not signing any free agent wide receivers, so no Keenan Allen.
No, they are absolutely fucked. I'm going to be fascinated to see the type of like trickery and tomfoolery they do to try to get under the cap with cuts and restructures and all this other bullshit.
Everyone. After this next pick, we're going to take a quick video break so I can go pee, and then we'll come back and finish the draft. Greg, close us out for the first half of this. Why did that happen? With the Colts, edge, running back, cornerback, guard, tackle.
Tackle. Okay, so I don't necessarily believe he's in need, but I think he fits the type of defense that they run in a 4-3.
Okay.
And I believe he's going to be a star on that team if you pair him with the right pieces. Give me the guy that I've already staked my claim to as one of my guys, Jazair Newton from Illinois.
Ah, okay. Short, stubby arms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Short and stubby, but he's got the push to be able to make it work. He's got a lot of strength in that.
Yeah.
And I think the Colts need that to be able to build the defense they're looking for.
Cool. Give me 1 second, guys. We'll be right back in 3 minutes as I use the restroom. We are back with the second half of the draft here. Thank you, everyone, for holding, and thank you, Greg. I am up for the Seattle Seahawks.
With Mike Macdonald as the new head coach now, I didn't realize how young he was. He's 36.
Yeah, youngest head coach in NFL history. Here's a question for you, Greg. How come quarterback is not listed as a need?
I would imagine it's because they think highly of Geno Smith and Drew Lock as a starting quarterback tandem. So
shout
maybe that's why.
To Pro Football Network. I don't think there's a quarterback here that I would really. I mean, Penix is really the last of the potential first-round guys. You got Rattler, you got Jordan Travis, Sam Hartman, Michael Pratt, Joe Milton. Those are really it for the guys that I like in this class. Shout out Phil Dracovic.
It's a top heavy quarterback class. Nothing wrong with that, but it's very top heavy. Also, I'm very curious to see like how Jordan Travis like ends up testing at the combine because I think he's still recovering from his injury. So someone could get a steal in like the third round.
Here's kind of my big question too about their needs. They have corner as the second need. They have Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon.
Maybe they're looking for just DB in general,
Just like a
perhaps. Like
straight nickel.
that doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, like
uh,
unless like they thought Tariq Woolen had a down year last year, but it was the
yeah,
second year. Like, what
but
do you
he,
expect?
as his rookie, he was an All-Pro.
He was,
It's
yeah.
weird.
It was like I don't get that.
Regardless, it is weird. All right. Well, I'm gonna go a little bit off the beaten path here because I don't really love any of these. So I'm gonna do what I think the Seattle Seahawks normally do, which is scroll to the 50s and take this linebacker out of Texas. No, just kidding.
Oh my god.
Since we need it there, I mean, if we are looking for 3 corners, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is the obvious pick there, Greg.
Dog.
So
Love it.
give me 3 elite young corners.
I would be curious, by the way, because I didn't realize this too, but Carolina, their GM Dan Morgan was in front office in Seattle, and Dave Canales was the head coach who was also in Seattle. I would be fascinated to see if the Panthers start doing shit like the Panthers of like just drafting like athletes that like no one expected to be in there. It'd be interesting. It'd be a different approach, but it clearly worked in Seattle for the longest time.
You got the Jags, big dog, corner, edge, tackle, defensive, guard, and guard again.
Man, God, that team has so much talent. I feel like every time if I watch them play and I look at that roster, like they're just loaded with guys like somehow, some way, like we've heard of, like just from the draft process in general. Because they just draft like every name you could possibly think of to be able to go there. I'm going to add another receiver to go with Calvin Ridley, and I'm going to go with Keon Coleman from Florida State.
Okay, let's have a discussion. I think he's a bust. That's my flag.
Okay. Go ahead. Let me hear the bust flag argument. Is this your first bust for this draft class?
This is, and Greg, I wish I knew why. For me, what it comes down to is he's not really. So the guys that went, Rome Odunze, like I really, really did like watching him play. I thought he was great, and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is the Maserati, whatever you want to call.
Yes.
And then Malik's, I think, is going to be a very good wide receiver, a very potentially elite wide receiver. Keon Coleman for me. Where did he transfer from? Or was he always there?
No, he transferred from somewhere. I don't remember where. Because like him and Johnny Wilson were the 1-2 tandem there, and Wilson, I don't believe Wilson will probably be like a.
So he was Michigan State.
Okay.
And so Keon Coleman, 6'4", 216. Despite volatility at quarterback and up front on the offensive line, Coleman thrived as a true sophomore in 2022. He racked up 58 catches, 790 yards, and 7 touchdowns alongside Jaden Reed. He leveraged that second-year production into a transfer opportunity at Florida State. I can't tell you why right now he's a bust. Ooh. But, Greg, when I feel it in my balls... I did with Burks.
You did. I'll give you that. You did with Burks, yeah.
I mean, I did.
Quentin Johnson, we all
that's why I don't like to brag about that one because that one was clear. Dude, Keon Coleman to me. That is my flag.
I love how receivers are kind of your flag for bust.
Dude.
From the get-go.
So receivers and quarterbacks are the thing. Because I'll tell you right now, Greg, the city of Nashville was not all receptive to Will Levis when they drafted him. I told a lot of people he's going to be great. And the second he was great, I received a lot of text messages saying, you did it. We did it, Joe.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Hear me out, though, and I notice a trend with them. Is it the size that gets you? Because Treylon Burks, tall dude. Quentin Johnson, tall dude. Keon Coleman, 6'4", is something like that. Do you naturally tend to shy away from receivers who are big dudes?
For me, big in college is a crutch.
No, okay.
Most of the guys, he was just so big and dominant, like Kelvin Benjamin, the little tub. It just like Mike Williams, did he live up to his stock? injury-wise. I mean, the fact that he came back from the neck injury is unbelievable.
I would argue Mike Williams is definitely more talented than the production has shown.
Yeah. So my point is, like, these bigger receivers that we all tout, they're bigger than everyone in college. Yeah, they're going to get those numbers. Bigger doesn't always mean better in the NFL. I don't know. I think there's a correlation there, though. I think the bigger wide receivers are who I hate.
Well, no, that's fair, but it's interesting because, like, naturally, because, like, when you think of, I would imagine, like, in the 90s, that was a very big trend for receivers.
Yeah.
It was, you want the 6'3", 6'4" guys.
Absolutely.
It wasn't until, like, mid-2000s people started to realize, hey, the, like, barely 6 foot, like, kind of shifty receivers who know how to run every route tree possible are the guys you want because they're smart. And you don't have to rely on them physically imposing your will. Because, yes, there are plenty of times where dudes who are 6'4", like Chase Claypool, for instance, don't play like they're 6'4", which is the problem that a lot of these guys. Yeah, so I can give you that.
The Bengals, they need corner, receiver, tackle, guard, a lot of stuff. But the easy one here for me, corner, Nate Wiggins. I like Cooper DeJean a lot, Greg, but I think Nate Wiggins is going to fly up boards. I think he could be the number one corner taken, so that's an easy pick for me there, bud.
Is it the Clemson kind of defensive player like connection that kind of gets that, or is it truly believe like the measurables that probably play into effect there?
I think he is better than Clemson this year. I think Clemson had a very big down year, so anybody they had is going to have looked at it that way. But when you get into his measurables, you get into the combine. I think he's going to ball out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Especially because, too, I would argue that Clemson corners, there hasn't really been a ton that have kind of like really kind of popped off in the league so far.
No, I liked a guy. God, I can't.
AJ Terrell was a Clemson corner, though, I think. So like that, but like at the time though, like, but at the time he was drafted, like he wasn't like lighting the world on fire though. I think he had to like earn that stay. But like aside from that, like you would think there'd be way more like. Because Clemson did a very good job, like building athletes up there. So like I'm kind of surprised.
Clemson Tigers in the NFL. AJ Terrell, Trayvon Mullen, so he's in Baltimore. Andrew Booth Jr. in Minnesota. Oh shit, okay. Mario Goodrich. That was the guy I was trying to think of that I really liked.
Okay.
And that is it as of January 28th.
I forgot about Andrew Booth. Yeah, he's still in Minnesota too. That was a guy that like I thought was going to go higher than I think he ended up going.
Yeah. You're up for the Rams. Tackle, edge, guard, corner, center.
The Rams have a first-round pick.
Ooh. Yeah, they're going to trade it. I get to be the Steelers.
The Rams having a first-round pick is so weird to me. So freaking weird. This one's gonna hurt because but first of all, like no matter what, they need to invest in that offensive line still to that degree. I think they
do it.
I think they have guys. Don't get me wrong, but I just think they really need it. And I'm gonna go. This hurts because like I'm taking him from you, but give me Taliese Fuaga.
Yeah, Fuaga has been, for anybody watching, Fuaga has been, I call him El Fuaga. El Fuego. Just huge. He's the mountain. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a great athlete. I think that's a very Rams pick, though. Are you surprised by how well Dotson's done for them?
Yes and no, because like I even remember, because like we even talked about it a little bit, like when he was with the Steelers, like he played out of position a lot.
Yep, and the talent was like, clearly there.
Yes, his rookie year, he was very good for us. It was when they started like messing with like the position of him that like, because I think I remember him quoted as saying that like learning left and right, switching between left and right guard is a lot more complicated than people think.
Yep.
So it might have messed with them. And
that kickback's absurd. Not his tackles, but his guards still. That kickback's crazy.
Oh yeah. And then I think what helped him is like Sean McVay changed his offensive philosophy and he just fit perfectly. So the fact that, listen, good for Dotson that he's going to get paid and that he thrived in the position that he should have.
Agreed.
But shame on the Steelers for not solidifying a position for him. So
I'd agree.
I would hope they learned their lesson from that, but who knows?
I got into a fight with people about trading TJ Watt, and the general consensus argument I made is that we're not deep enough at edge. And it sucks to look at Latu and Verse right there. Two guys that I just said I think are going to just shatter boards. I think that those are going to be the top two with Dallas coming after the combine. But it doesn't make sense. Chop, another guy in there, doesn't make sense. I don't like Mims out of Georgia this high. Goitin out of Oklahoma, I know nothing about, I'll be honest. I like Troy Finatanu, whatever it is, the guard.
Me too. Fatunu from Washington. I think he can rise up boards. He'll probably be the best guard in this class.
I agree. And I do think Greg Kingsley out of BYU, Suamatiaya, I fucked that up. I think he's going to be a good tackle. I think he will. Hey. Sorry. I think ice went down in my ice machine and Bean just freaked the fuck out. All that being said, what are we doing here? Let's take him. He's our guy, Cooper DeJean. I do have concerns, Greg, that they push him to safety. I do have concerns about him being a true corner, but Bean. Every time I look away, he growls. I don't know about him being like a true corner, every down corner, but the only reason I say that is because of what the write-ups have said. His play shows me he's a true corner. So give me Cooper. If we need to move him to safety to play next to Minkah, cool, good. Let's do it. But I think he is the corner. He's our CB2.
I think what his play has shown me is that he's a football player. You know? If that makes sense. Like he's a guy that like I don't think he's not a positionless player. He's a guy that like will do well in whatever position you ask him to play. So I think if you want him to be the other corner opposite JBJ, I think he could do it. I think if you want to like protect him a little bit and be a safety paired with Minkah, I'm okay with it too. So it's just get a guy who knows how to play football, can play it well on your team, and I think it'll always work out well for you in the end.
Agreed. You're for the Dolphins.
They're getting they just lost Vic Fangio, which I did not realize there was some heat with that. I didn't realize that like apparently like the players did not like him, and I guess they're interested in bringing in Leslie Frazier to be the DC for them, which is fascinating to see that. But I'm not worried about the offense necessarily. I wouldn't mind them maybe adding a little more in the O-line, but I think it'll be okay. I think the defense is where they need to get some work on because like Bradley Chubb getting hurt in playoffs really kind of screwed them. Not in playoffs, like the week before kind of screwed them. So I think add to the defensive line will help them a lot to get some depth on that team in a much needed way. And I'm gonna lean towards Jared Verse. If he would have come out last year, I think he would have been a late first-round pick. It sucks that he didn't put up the numbers that we probably thought he would, but I think the measurables are going to go very well at the combine for him. So give me Jared Verse.
I love it. No notes. I think Latu could be the top edge in the class, but as we stand right now, I have no problem with Verse there at 21. 22, I got the Eagles. They did a lot of stuff. Safety and cornerback, two big ones. Wide receivers on here twice. I do think the A.J. Brown turmoil was real. I think we're gone.
Really? I think it's just a bunch of like...
I hope so.
I think it's a bunch of BS, yeah.
I hope so, but we'll see. I do think that they're closer to needing wide receivers than not needing wide receivers. I get that. But they need secondary. They really, really need guys.
In the worst way, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in love with a lot of these guys. So, like, Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo is the next corner. I don't know much about him. 6 foot, 200. I'm sure he's amazing. I don't know a lot about the safeties in this class either, Greg, but I do know that I like Kamari Lassiter, the cornerback out of Georgia. I don't really know where he'll net out. We're doing this super early, which is fun and great. Give me Lassiter. He's been linked to the Steelers a little bit here and there in a couple mocks. Georgia corner. I think they made the most out of what they got with Keely Ringo in terms of Georgia corners. Obviously, it's not fair to just say one is equal to the next, but that's where I'm going there. So you were up for the Texans.
I would argue first off with the Eagles, what really kind of screwed them is that they just had such a drop off in sack and pressure production that exposed their secondary this year. So I think
but they have Jalen Carter. They have who's the other one?
Fletcher Cox.
Yes, but no, the one that Jordan Davis.
Oh,
Your guy.
Dancing
That
Bear.
yes.
Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
know.
I
Yeah.
was like, I knew you
Mhm.
knew the guy.
I completely forgot he was an Eagle. Honestly.
Yeah, but they shouldn't really have that deficit. But I agree. Maybe I wouldn't hate them taking Latu there. I don't know. We'll see. You are up for the Texans, my good man.
Okay, so we just talked about this too. That like I do think like running back is probably a good spot for them, but there's not really a first round back I would lean towards in this class. Like Trey Benson's the best back, but they could easily get him in the second.
Yeah, I like Brooks to rise up boards. I think the injury hurt him there, but I don't like either of them there. So
Yeah, I like their receivers. I think they have a solid tight end. I'm gonna lean away from the offense. I'll go defense on that one. And actually, yeah, I'll lean towards getting a running mate with Will Anderson.
Yep.
Give me Latu from UCLA to pair on that line with him.
love that pick. I think that's a great pick because Will Anderson showed signs, man.
I don't think he put up like the numbers that we expect of him. But in fairness, also as a rookie, I mean that's a lot to put on him. And by the way, shout out to the Texans for also realizing that they traded up last year, got their 2 franchise cornerstones, and they're still getting another pick this year because of the one that they got for trading Deshaun Watson. That's a smart franchise so far.
Dude, it's honestly crazy.
Yeah.
But wait. What pick are they getting with Deshaun? This one?
But yeah, the Browns.
But what's their pick?
Theirs would be
because they traded with the Cardinals. So the Cardinals at 27. So they got a better pick at 23. Yeah. Wow.
That's impressive. That's very impressive on their part. I imagine they weren't. I don't think they expected to be that good, but still.
I got the Cowboys tackle, guard, corner, linebacker, DT.
They're gonna go as far as Dak takes them. Remember?
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I guess sucks. Yeah, give me Mims, tackle.
Okay.
I'm not in love with anything that they needed with Dan Quinn gone. I don't think they go defense. So give me a tackle, safe.
Okay.
You got the Packers. They got tackle, guard, linebacker, edge, safety.
Ooh. I think they do need to find a replacement for Bakhtiari at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll be a tackle, but just getting a piece on that O-line, because he did play tackle at Washington. So like I could see him like maybe testing it out to see how it goes, but he'll probably end up being a guard. So give me Troy Fautanu for Washington here. Yeah.
Yeah, out of Washington. I think that's a really good pick. I think it's a very solid guard there.
He's undersized for a tackle though, but like in fairness, like as long as you can get pieces that I think can eventually fit, I think it'll go far for them in the end. So yeah, give me Fautanu there.
Yeah, I'm up for the Bucks. Quarterback, tackle, guard, center. All the line help that the world could possibly produce.
Oh boy.
Again, man, this is so fugly. I feel like give me Tyler Goyton, the tackle out of Oklahoma. I know nothing about him, to be transparent, Greg, but I know he's a tackle. This is where I could see Penix going, but I'll tell you right now, Baker deserves to be their starting quarterback, so I'm not going to disrespect him like that with a guy that's damn near 2 years younger than him.
I 100% agree. Baker earned the ability to keep that job in Tampa for as long as he wants. And I think he's only in year 5, year 6 of his NFL career. So like he's got
good.
So like he's got some time in him, but he's also young enough that I think they can still build around him. But let's be real here too. Like I also think Tampa's probably going to end up being like 7-10 next year, and they'll probably
be
like
in line for a Quinn Ewers-esque pick, if you will. One thing I'll say out loud, Greg, if I was not 4 beers deep, about to crack my other one, I clearly would have taken Kingsley Suamato out of BYU here. I just picked a guy on the board, and then he scrolled up from the bottom. So let the record show. I think
Guyton's a very like nasty run blocking type tackle. So like,
don't make me feel bad about not knowing him.
Yeah, no. So like, I would imagine that like, so I would imagine like they would lean towards that, especially if they because like as good as Mike Evans and Godwin are and stuff like that, I would imagine the Buccaneers would probably want to be a run heavy team to start to like play to Baker's strengths eventually in a play action type situation. And we don't even know what their offense is going to look like because I'm pretty sure Kappas was their offensive coordinator and he just left to be the head coach in Carolina. So they could change their formalities for all we know.
Fair. You got the Cards again, Bucko. They have so far drafted Dallas Turner. So you don't need an edge, which sucks because Chop Robinson's still there. So that would have been a decent one.
Yeah. By the way, I got to be honest with you. I kind of like Chop Robinson as a name over Kool-Aid.
Not a bad tweet, right? And everyone's like, no.
No.
So I asked Dre for the source. He didn't give it. I think Chop Robinson's a hard name.
Chop is like such a
cool name.
That's such a good thing. That's such a good gimmick. Like, listen, Kool-Aid McKinstry is a wild fucking name.
Crazy.
Wild name. But if we're talking like branding and like we're talking like being able to build off of that.
You get it.
I get it. You're thinking multiple steps ahead. So like I completely want it. And like
Dre
listen,
get it.
the moment Kool-Aid McKinstry enters the league, he's getting a Kool-Aid sponsorship right at the get-go. Nothing wrong with that. But Chop, there's so many things you can do with that. So many. So Dallas Turner was taken off.
Yeah, Dallas Turner was your edge.
Yeah, Dallas Turner was the edge. Chop would have been good there. You know what though? He's been playing very well at Mobile right now. So I'll go with Quinion Mitchell here.
Yeah,
corner from Toledo. Yeah, I think
he's had some good reps.
He's had some good reps. I saw a quote from him on DK Pittsburgh Sports to kind of because they're following him and stuff. Like he's got the right mentality that you want for a corner. So like I think he could end up like sneaking at the end of the first round perhaps. And actually, I think NFL.com actually has him as one of their top 20 prospects. So yeah. And listen, I like Daniel Jeremiah, but I'm a little iffy on some of his like rankings, but like I respect his like stuff at least.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's an idiot, which is good for most people in this space. I'm not taking Cameron Kinchins for the Bills because he's 5'11". I mean, get out of here. The Bills need corner, safety, tackle, wide receiver, linebacker. A lot of places they could go here, Greg. Secondary is a huge one. I don't love, as I was mentioning, I don't really love Kitchens. I don't love, apologies, I'm scrolling down here. I don't like Tampa out of Iowa State. Like, I just don't know any of these secondary guys. So what I am going to do is take an absolute dog. In the off chance that Stephon Diggs does actually move away, give me Mitchell, wide receiver out of Texas.
Ooh, Davion Mitchell. Oh, that's a good pick.
Adonai.
Oh, Adonai Mitchell. Okay,
yes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Adonai Mitchell, who was a freak for Texas, bit of a smaller guy, but I think he would be, if they let Diggs go, he could be the route runner for Gabe Davis, who's the deep ball guy. And you know, worst comes to worst, dude, whatever you guys are doing with Josh right now ain't working. So get him some more, more talent.
I think Xavier Worthy is the other one for that Texas team, and I believe he's probably more of a second round guy. But yeah, I forgot.
They have Worthy as 41 right now. I like Mitchell a ton. I think looking at the wide receivers, Greg, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Legette, who I like, Ladd McConkey, who I don't know out of Georgia, Xavier Worthy, who's good, Troy Franklin out of Oregon, a guy that's been tied to the Steelers is Malachi Corley out of Western Michigan, which is crazy.
Dre's guy. That's Dre's guy, actually.
Well, Dre's picking him because he's the sexy, weird guy. Like,
actually, also Ladd McConkey's a white dude, and also has apparently he's been showing out at Mobile too. So like he might be rising up some boards for all we know.
Fair. You're up for the Lions, buddy. You got your Lions team: corner, safety, wide receiver, quarterback.
This one's easy for me, and while I could go Penix here, I could. I'm not going to.
It would be tough to take two quarterbacks in back-to-back years that have bad ACLs.
Yes, I know, right? But give me a pairing mate for Aiden Hutchinson and give me Chop Robinson. Yes,
now,
I love that.
They have another edge who I don't dislike, but the reason I like Chop here is because you're taking a swing at a potential Aiden Hutchinson-esque guy, and the worst that comes to it is you have a good rotation.
Exactly. And I think Honestly, I would not be shocked either if like maybe Tavondre Sweat kind of like sneaks up here as well, because I do think they need interior presence. But if I'm basing it off of talent that's available right now, I think Chop is a very good value pick at the end of the first round, especially for a team that is clearly on the rise and needs help on that defense.
Fair. No, I think it's a really good pick. I think Chop going out of the first round wasn't going to happen. I may have taken him for the Ravens here, to be honest with you. But Ravens, corner, tackle, a couple other things. Since I left him off, give me my boy Kingsley out of BYU. Just a tackle. Get some line help. I don't love the corners here. So simple pick for me in terms of
how big is he? Like 6'6", 6'7"?
He is 6'6". Oh my God, he's 6'3". I might hate him. No, a mauling tackle prospect with excellent athletic tools, undoubtedly be in the mix to land the first round. Showing off top-notch strength, projected as an immediate impact run blocker in any scheme. Still a raw pass production, though. He's prone to overextending his upper body. Both of these are fixable techniques, though. So 6'3".
Yeah, and the Ravens are a run first team, in fairness.
Yes.
So that does
Yeah. Mauler fits.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Chiefs, big dog.
Which, by the way, I completely forgot that J.K. Dobbins is a free agent this year.
Has to be, dude. He's been too injury prone.
He has to be. Okay, so I'm looking at the Chiefs. That defense has played very well this year, but man, Patrick Mahomes, like, that offense just needs weapons that can actually catch a fucking football in the worst goddamn way. You know what? This is gonna sound weird, but why not? I'm feeling well because like I've already been following the Senior Bowl enough. Give me Ladd McConkey here for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Who? Ladd McConkey? Okay.
Ladd McConkey.
Tell me about Ladd.
Ladd is
he's 5'11".
He is 5'11". Hear me out. Bigger than Kadarius Toney already. Fair. So let's at least get that. But hear me out. Kadarius Toney is an absolute bust. Absolute bust. They are playing him like Tyreek Hill, and he is not Tyreek Hill.
Well, they're not playing him at all.
That's true.
He got benched this game.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey is obviously an undersized receiver, but hear me out. He is an undersized receiver that at least knows how to play like an undersized receiver. He can get open in the flat. He's able to block well. He is a guy that can have different route concepts that would be able to open up your field a little bit more if you want to try to get with your boundary receivers. And this is a Chiefs offense that is going to be in a sense a bit of, I don't want to say rebuild, but it's going to be a retool in a bit because Travis Kelce's 35. You can't rely on him moving.
Yeah.
I like Blake Bell as the guy, kind of like an heir apparent, but like they need some dynamic explosion with their offense to be able to help out. And I think that is something that could go a long way for them. Just get weapons on that team and Mahomes will make it work. That's just how it does.
I think it's a great take. I'm up for the Niners. They need a lot of shit. Tackle, corner, guard, edge, center. And by a lot of shit, they really don't need much. Like they're really sitting pretty.
I did see that starting lineup for their offensive line, and I was surprised that Trent Williams was the only All-Pro on that line.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, their O-line is actually not as good as I was expecting it to be.
Excuse me, Greg. So sorry about that. The crazy thing about being here where we are is that you want to take swings. Like, I don't necessarily think taking the top guy is what you do with the last pick. You take a guy who has huge upside, who you really believe in, and think could be something. So I'm going to do the guy that I've been really high on recently, cornerback, Kalen King, Penn State. I had mentioned him for the Steelers in the first round. I think he could be a really good corner. I think he's a good pick there.
I'm intrigued to see how he tested the combine. I think he's a dog. I think he is very, very, he's a very good like cover corner and stuff. He's the same mold as JPJ where he gets a little handsy.
A little too much, but the Niners can do with it.
Yeah, but I think if you have the right coach around you and stuff, I think you can easily correct that and stuff. I'd rather you be aggressive instead of like.
I'd rather pull my dogs back.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, we did a draft and we talked wrestling. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yes, I was surprised the enhanced games didn't get like a bit more like ridiculousness from you as I was expecting.
Fair,
but
I knew about it, I guess is the tough thing. Like, I know that's happening. So it is funny. There's a commercial and like
Yeah.
it's a hedge funded thing is crazy. But I'm rooting for it.
I'm blown away by the fact that it's a legit billionaire funding.
Yeah.
It's the co-founder of PayPal that's funding it, which I can't wrap my head around.
He
Like
just
someone
wants to watch good dude do good shit. Simple.
What do you mean by doing good shit? You talking about the drugs or
Jumping
the actual...
higher and running faster? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, this gives hope. This gives hope to essentially every person now to qualify for something in the grand scheme of things when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't have hopes of qualifying, but it gives the average person like do steroids and you got it.
Hear me out. We have the Winter and Summer Olympics are every other year, right? So like this year's the Summer Olympics. The Winter Olympics won't be until 2026. If this becomes a thing where like the enhanced games are essentially taking place in that off year between the Olympics, that'd be amazing. Just saying. I don't know if it will, but it would be fun. Like this is something I could totally imagine like Barstool like getting.
Oh yeah. Let's send Josh Gordon too. He's high as fuck. Greg, we are back next week with the preview show for the Super Bowl and my surgery. So we will be here live.
Which one's more important?
Probably
my
surgery.
Probably your surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing's gonna get cut open. That's for sure. And we're not just talking about the defense.
Can't wait. Thank you, Greg, for being a part of the show tonight. It was a wonderful evening. And Josh, we're still waiting for you to join.
What the fuck, man? I wore an OKC shirt for you, asshole.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.